Good evening, everyone. How are you tonight? Sunday night. Sunday night prime time. You're probably watching your shows on all your premium cable channels. That's what you do. Yellow Jackets on Showtime. Can't wait. Probably going to pop that on. I'll tell you something. That HBO Max show, Station 11. Holy crap, is that fire? That is fire, fire, fire. Also great. But I needed to talk to you about this. I want to ask you to do something before I bring my guest in, who's waiting patiently in our digital green room. I want you to take a little walk to the edge of town and go across the tracks where the viaduct looms like a bird of doom as it shifts and it cracks. Because the reality is, yes, I see that. Keep that up. Keep that on. Where secrets lie in the border fires, in the humming wires. Hey, man, you're never coming back. Past the square, you go past the bridge, walk past the mills, walk past the stacks. On a gathering storm comes a tall, handsome man in a dusty black coat with his red right hand. I am so excited about tonight's show. You don't understand. My guest is my friend Mark, a fellow filmmaker and a passionate Scream fan like myself. Mark actually, he produced and directed and wrote his own Scream fan film. There's a link to it in the description, so you should check that out. Let's bring him out. Let's bring him into the conversation. We have a lot to discuss. We're not going to try and keep you guys here all night, but we do have a lot to get through, so hopefully we can do it. I'm just going to pop him in right now real quick. Ah! Whoa! Oh, my God. Oh, what happened to Mark?
Well, hello, Jeff.
I was like, who is that?
Don't you love how everyone's so normal? Then the second the killer is revealed, they're so crazy. They're like, "Well, Jeff,"
on a turn of a dime. We've never seen a Scream slasher like keep their resolve, which would be far more terrifying than like, oh, it's time to be the crazy guy now.
Right.
Crazy.
At least for a little bit, right? And then, of course, then you can snap and start to... But yeah, like, I guess maybe Billy in the first one was a little calm at times. But like, then every sequel since, it's just like...
Yeah, so, it's like they just all go bananas.
Yeah, and boy, in this one, geez, bananas. Oh my God.
That's an understatement. I'd like to welcome Mark J. Parker. He has his own podcast called Release Date Rewind. Link to all that stuff is in the description below.
Thank you.
This conversation is actually an ongoing conversation. It began with a little movie called Hook, actually.
Yep.
And then because we did two at once, and then we started talking about Scream. I knew that Mark was a Scream fan, and Scream knew that I was a Scream fan, and so together we decided that we would have to do the Scream episode. He decided that we would do the Scream episode for the show.
Oh yeah.
What's up, bloody roots? Yes, I'm so glad Ballad of the Broken is here. He says he loved it. He's seen it twice. Hello, Mark. Love y'all's premiere.
Hello.
Okay, so Ballad has watched the previous conversation we had as well.
Awesome.
I wanted to watch it twice. I did not get the opportunity to. It was just not in the cards. I was lucky that I was even able to see it once. And I'm really thankful that you were able to get to the theater and see it, because I was like, maybe I'll just do a little like a little first reaction convo.
And you totally could have, Jeff, if you wanted. But
it wouldn't have felt right, Mark. I was thinking about it, and I was like, no, I'm gonna wait for Mark. We have to do this together. It has to be like we have to just pour over this and deconstruct this and talk about this.
We have to get our Sidney and Gale reunion and take down these final killers. Yes.
Hold on one second. Totally. Before we even begin, this is going to be so spoilerific. Like if you have not seen the film, you're going in now. I've now said we're 4 minutes in. I haven't spoiled anything. If you have not seen the new Scream, turn this off unless you don't care about spoilers, because we're spoiling the crap out of everything.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to talk about everything, Jeff. I have questions. I have thoughts. Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait. So here's how I want to start this conversation, because I'm like, how do we warm into this? Because there's like so many different angles. So I want to start with the thing that all Scream fans do. We all have our rankings. But what I've been noticing in a particular Facebook group is I don't know if you belong to it. I should add you to it if you're not. The Scream Trilogy group on Facebook.
That's so funny, Jeff, because that's like one of the few I'm not in. I joined a whole bunch to promote my fan film,
right?
But that one I didn't join for whatever reason. I was like, oh, I also was. It's kind of a
very
crazy
active.
Time.
It's very.
Oh,
active.
is it?
Yeah,
well, I know that website.
You have to post in there. Yeah,
I loved the Scream Trilogy website. I assume the Facebook group came from the website, but there was an awesome site, But so
I didn't know that.
was like, I don't want to go too crazy with Scream Facebook groups because, of course, it was like the best time to release a fan film, but also the worst because as I'm joining groups, I'm like, wait, I don't want to see any spoilers.
Right,
but
right.
Yeah, if you want to add me to that, I'd love to hear
what
you're saying.
I will.
I'll add my link in there for sure. Yeah.
Ballad says it's such a shame it released during such a time of heightened cases. It still made, yes, it did. It's made 35 million. It's done better than Scream 4, and it's doing better than Scream 3 currently. I have a feeling, and we'll talk about this at the end, I think Scream 6 is in the cards, which I am happy about a little bit. Let's start here. Let's start here.
Yeah.
We were talking about rankings. There is, so it's very like popular. It's like very much a thing to rank your films, your favorite, from favorite to least favorite. But what I've noticed in this group is that people are ranking motives of the killers, like the killers and the motives of the killers, as well as the ranking of the film. So I figure what better way to start this conversation? Let's start right there. You are you ready to, do you want to launch in first or should I? You tell me. Are you ready?
You go. I want you to go first, Jeff.
I'm going to go first. Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, this has been a very easy ranking system. 1, 2, 3, 4, like easy as pie. However, with the addition of the new film, and I have to say this first and foremost, as anybody who's listened to the Scream conversations on here knows, to me, Scream is really, it's not a one note thing per se, but it's like, I think of it as Sidney Prescott's trilogy, and the trilogy ends at 3, and therefore it is just perfect as it is as a trilogy of films 1 through 3. So those are going to take my top 3 spots because that's the story. 1, 2, 3. I'm happy. Even though they didn't know it was going to be a trilogy, they were able to wrap it up in a way that it's a trilogy. So for me, 1, 2, 3, and then I detest 4 for so many reasons. I've tried to watch it twice since I saw it in the theater, and all 3 times I saw it once in the theater, and then I saw it once, probably about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and then I saw it once last year. And I have this movie does not work for me. Neve Campbell we've talked about this. She's dialing it in. So like just bland, just like a jar full of mayonnaise, just bland, vanilla, whatever you want to call it.
It's hard because I don't think Neve Campbell dials anything in, but there's just do you think at least that? Did you think that she's dialed something else in as well? In another film?
Wait. Oh, no. I don't think she dials it. Yeah, no. Normally she doesn't dial it. Yeah,
normally she doesn't. So normally we agree, like she doesn't, and I don't think she dialed it in totally for 4. I just think her part was kind of boring, even though she's in it throughout the whole thing, pretty much. Yeah. She is still our lead character, whereas in this film, we'll get to it, she is not. But she's in it throughout, but it's just, there is not 1 ounce of fun on her face. She is not enjoying any of it. So
she is so not, she's not into it. So
yeah. So that's what's tough with these later sequels is, man, even in 3, we started to see she's not really enjoying it.
She only did 3 weeks. Yeah, she didn't want to be, she would have rather not done it. Yeah, it still works. It works. Like 3, here's the thing. 3 has its flaws, but 3 works, and it works in the trilogy, and the ending is so powerful in my personal opinion that I'm like, I can forgive it of its shortcomings. 4, in my personal opinion, I just can't, I can't stand by 4. So it's always been 1, 2, 3, 4. And then where does 5 fit into my new ranking? Right. It's 1, 2, 3, 5, 4.
Okay. Yeah.
that is where the ranking is. And then in terms of motives, okay, so you have the first Scream. And what am I saying? Like the motives of the killers, like why the killers are doing what they do. Right. At the top, number one is going to be Scream, but not for the motives that the killers mention in Scream. Because as we've discussed in super detail, which I'm not going to get into here, I think that Billy and Stu are doing what they do for different reasons that are in the subtext. They're in between the lines. They're in the, it's definitely there. It's just not said. And it's easy to interpret it that way. And it's a valid interpretation. So, and I'm not going to go watch the other episode. Go check it out on Mark's podcast if you prefer podcasts, or go watch it on this channel. We're not going to dive into that because we're here to talk about Scream 5.
Yeah, that's the previous installment.
Right.
This is the sequel.
Right.
You know, you'll have to do your homework. Yeah, exactly.
So that's number one. Number two is going to be Scream 3 because Roman, he's like Emperor Palpatining that stuff in the new stuff, right? Like it starts with him. His motivations make sense for me, and he sort of takes it back to the beginning. Surprisingly, even though it's my least favorite of the whole series, 4 comes in at number 3 because even though I'm not happy with how it all, went down, I thought Emma Roberts, what's her last name? Jill.
Oh my God. I used to know
She's
this.
A different last name.
It's not Prescott. Yeah.
Jill.
But it'll come to me.
Not the other guy, the Culkin kid. I don't, he's just like, whatever. He just was like in love with it. That's just like a copycat of like Stu, but like, Jill's motivation is great. Totally works. Totally makes sense. So I would say, Jason says if he wanted to do homework, he'd go to school.
This is the fun homework.
This is the fun homework. So Jill's motivations for wanting to be famous are at number 3.
Yeah.
Then I guess I would put at number 4. I mean, this is really, I would say they're tied for the last place, would be the motivations of the killers in 5 as well as 2. Why am I ranking Mrs. Loomis so low? I mean, it's revenge. It's just like, it's simple revenge. Okay, it makes sense. But it just, I don't know. I just don't, you know what, the big letdown of all the Scream movies, even Scream 1 to an extent, there's just like, I kind of wish that the motivations were, what's up, Amy? Glad you enjoyed it. I just feel like all of the motivations could be a tad more clever if you were to go back. Like they all work. I'm all happy with them. They could be a little bit better. And the Scream 5 makes sense on paper, but totally is so. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But those are my rankings. Okay, it's Mark's turn. I'm going to shut up.
Okay,
Mark, you go ahead.
I have to say, Jeff, I'm so sad that that
Scream 2 is so
low. But here's the thing. It's going to be higher on my list. We'll get to it in a second.
That's okay.
I understand. Let's see. Scream 4's motivation was almost ahead of its time. Yes, I agree. The term influencer wasn't that popular during that time. Totally. Yeah. So Scream 4 overall is one of the weaker ones for sure. I agree with Jeff on that. But yeah, that motive and then that crazy ending where Jill is really beating herself up. I didn't really know what I was watching at the time, but wow, yeah, that was truly twisted.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, that was like on the same level as the boys in the first one stabbing each other. Like that was truly demented, and the whole wanting fame thing. So I do agree with you there. The only thing with 2 that I also agree with you is, yes, I can understand why you might want to put it lower, because with Mrs. Loomis's motive mixed with Mickey's motive,
Mickey's motive is so bad.
Mickey's motive is barely a motive. If I
That's
remember
the 90s version of Jill. It's the 90s version of Jill, basically. Trial.
I guess
I want the trial. I want to be famous. So they used that 3 times. 3 times almost. We're constructing a thing. We want new source material. The new one is we want new source material for them to make movies. Jill wants to be a famous influencer, and Mickey wants the O.J. Simpson trial.
Right. Right. Totally. Yeah. So you're right. It is. There's a lot of fame throughout it, but I guess at least with Mickey. Well, okay. So here's my ranking of the films. Very similar to yours,
Yeah.
Jeff. Gotta
Yep.
love the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood
Oh,
reference.
sorry.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's all right. Okay. So my rankings, and I'm allowed to do ties.
Totally.
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
Okay.
Whatever you want.
Because even though one, of course, is the best, I really truly look at 1 and 2 as a perfect combo.
Okay.
They are
I dig that.
so like 2 I saw twice in theaters. My dad went with me both times, snuck in the old VHS camcorder so I could watch it repeatedly at home. Like I
Oh my
love
God.
Oh yeah, we did that with like I
You
know what you did last summer.
bootlegged?
Like oh, we were bootlegging. I was inviting people over like after school, like watch this bootleg
Dude,
of
you
Scream
must have
2.
been the coolest kid
Oh,
ever.
you know, I
Holy
thought
shit.
so, but a lot of people were like, "You're really into these weird Scream movies." But back then, a lot of people didn't really understand the
Bro,
appeal.
I would have been at your house every day after
Thank
school.
you. Right? I'm like, you don't get it. But so I thought Scream 2 was Scream 1, of course, we know is clever. Scream 2, I just thought the whole stab movie stuff was just absolutely clever. So those two are tied at 1 for me. Then I will go, I think it still is 3 is number 2.
Okay.
And then 5 is number 4, and then 4 is number 5. So very similar to you, or number 4, you know. But so 1 and 2, and then the rest are all a little bit lower. 3 and 5 are very close, in my opinion, because there are things that work, and then there are things that don't work. But like I totally agree with you. 3 still has a full arc. We learn a lot, and it works, even though Scott Foley's character is one of my least favorites of the whole.
He's not a great character.
He's the whiniest killer, although now with these new ones, so we'll get to it. Okay, so now the killer motives. Okay, yes, I will agree with you. The first film, that motive, when Billy tells her again in that calm, low, quiet voice that her mom, that his dad was fucking her mom and like ruined their family like that. And remember, I told you, Jeff, my friend ruined the whole movie for me. He told me everything, and I gladly listened to it all. I still, watching that scene, I was like, oh shit, like, man, that's a good motive. It's more than just because they even play with your expectations. Oh, did Norman Bates need a motive? Did Hannibal Lecter need a motive? No.
Right.
So just when you think you're not going to get a motive, you get that, and it's like, oh wow. So yeah, that was awesome. I am a big fan of Mom coming back for revenge. I thought that was an awesome nod to Friday the 13th. Awesome nod to the beginning of Scream when
it works. The killer works. The killer works.
Oh, the killer. Yeah, that reveal. I know some people are like, "What? Like she's barely in the movie?" And what? I was blown away.
I'm just so it's perplexing to think that like Mom, like I guess it makes sense in the lineage of serial killers, but it's just the idea of like my mom is now going to become the Ghostface that I was to get it just doesn't when it takes me out of it a little bit.
Oh,
it always did, but listen, I totally respect your ranking.
Yeah, I think for me, it's I totally know what you mean, and she only really confirms she kills only Randy because he was being mean about Billy.
She got a
but
little
I just love not only yes, exactly. Oh,
she had Mickey. Oh wow! You actually just sort of wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So
she was a true mastermind. She totally directed Mickey to do most of her work.
Mickey did all the muscle work, and she directed the stuff.
Basically, she killed Randy, and I'm sure she was on the phone sometimes because these movies, come on, you can't be on the phone and also moving all around, you know. So she was probably doing that, but she's like, Mickey, you're the muscle. Do exactly what I say. I'm Mom.
Okay.
And he was
you
like,
literally
yes, okay,
just
Mom.
changed my mind by telling me that. Ooh! Like that makes no, for real. Like that, I didn't never in what 24 years have never thought about it like that. She manipulated him to do the stuff that she would not do. And that's not me coming from a misogynistic place. Of course, a woman is capable of doing the killing herself, but it's just like that works better, the whole mom aspect. It's almost like she takes a psycho under her belt and then guides him to fill the void of her dead son. That that works a lot better. Yes.
And on top of that is, so it's not only revenge, her son that she abandoned, that she didn't really get to really hang out with much later in his life. So there's also guilt that I just really kind of felt. I'm like, oh yeah, you can tell in her crazed face. She feels guilty that she left. Maybe she should have taken Billy with her. Like, so this is her trying to right her maybe wrong, quote unquote, mistake of leaving. So I just really love that. But tied with 2 is 3 is Roman, Scott Foley. And I mean, that much like Billy's, super scary reveal of his motive when Roman says, like, I came to mom's house in Woodsboro and knocked on the door and she slammed that door in my face. And then I got footage because we knew he's a filmmaker, right? He's going around town following her, which is scary. And I kind of wish we got to actually see that.
Okay, now that's a friggin' one-shot comic that needs to happen, dude, of like him stalking his mom. And just to see what she's up to and seeing that she's slinging.
In my mind, Roman was camping outside of Sidney's house for like a few nights and just eating fast food in the car and watching Sidney and being like, this fucking bitch has the life I deserve. And then mom's going out and then he's following her to work, following her to hotels, motels, houses. So yeah, like that is what a great crime horror drama, but so bringing it all back to Roman, which real quick, I have to tell you, Jeff, I was very offended on Roman's behalf that Scream 5 completely ignores
they don't even mention him. He's ignored.
They say Billy is the mastermind. Yes, Billy definitely, of course, is one of the most important killers in the franchise, but no. The mastermind was not Billy Loomis. It was Roman Bridger. Hello. So 2 and 3 motives are tied. Very close behind them is 4, because yes, I agree. Rory Culkin's character, he's just sort of like Stu, kind of along for the ride. Yeah, sure, whatever. But Emma Roberts, Jill, with her saying, I don't need friends, I need fans. She so desperately doesn't want to. She even says, she's like, what am I going to do, work? Which the first time I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, she's so awful. But with time, yes, she's awful. But with time, I've learned, oh my God, like, kind of ahead of her time, because a lot of people. It's funny how we've said this, Jeff. A lot of younger people love Scream 4, and I feel like they kind of relate to Emma Roberts' character.
I've heard.
I want to just be a YouTuber, and like I don't want to work. I want to just be famous. It's like
me. That's me.
Yeah, right. Like get in line and just do your work.
Yeah, I should. I should.
Right.
I have to say, I've heard recently that it's because of Scream 4's following with younger generations that Scream 5 is doing as well as it's doing, because people love that 4th one so much. So that makes me happy. Well, that makes me happy for 4, because at the end of the day, listen, whether I like it, I hate it, whether I'm let down, whatever the case may be, I still want Scream to succeed. I still want, I still want it. My perfect little trilogy is already on the shelf. So whatever they do is what they do. I really don't care.
Point, Jeff. Our main beautiful, awesome heroine, Sidney, we already kind of know her well. So the rest is all just like, hey, I'm along for the ride. And I got to tell you, today, I was a little depressed after now I've seen this movie that I've been excited for 2 years since they announced it. Now I'm kind of like, oh, crap. Like, when's the next time I'm going to see my friends? At least Sidney and Gale. You know what I mean? I'm weird. And I do kind of feel that way. I'm like, oh man, I've been like reading about this and seeing pictures and
you have an emotional hangover. Hangover.
I'm a little hungover today where I'm like, damn, Sidney.
I know that feeling.
When am I going to see you again? That's why I'm like, I love that they came back, and I really do urge. I'm sure there's going to be another one. They've left the door open for another one. We'll get into it. I do hope Sidney and Gale come back at least for a scene and just give it to us, because it truly is so nice.
I just want a cameo.
Nice to see them again. Yeah, you know what I mean? Honestly, Sidney, you can be on the phone and someone could say, what do I do? And you could just say, okay, run and then hide and then do this. I'll see you later. And I'll be like, okay, it was awesome seeing her. She looks great. Great to hear her voice. You know what I mean? So I'm happy to see my girls no matter what, but I'm a little sad that it's like, damn, even when they're not that great, I could still watch more footage. And
sounds like we're on the same page.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
what's your ranking
with my last ranking of the motives? Sorry, I know I'm like going
no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So, basically the 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all pretty high up. And I have to say the motive for the latest one is by far the weakest, by far the lowest for me. I still don't fully understand it. And that's also why I want to see it again, because
I kind of don't get it either, man.
Some moments work and then some don't. And also the theater I was in, the volume was so low, and I so badly wanted to go out and be like, hey, auditorium 1's got to get louder, but I didn't want to miss a thing.
Yeah, you don't want to miss
anything. So I'm literally like
hurting
my neck. I'm like, the motive is about stab 8, but we haven't seen a stab 8 clip. I don't know how bad it was. Like, it's just the motive and the performances of the actors and the killers themselves, I was not surprised by at all. So the whole ending of 5 is just the weakest for me, which makes me sad, that's lowest on my ranking.
What is your overall ranking for all the films? I'm very curious to know this.
Well, kind of like I said, so for overall of the whole films, 1 and 2 are my top.
Okay.
And then 3 has the slight edge over 5 overall, because even though I know I just said 5's ending is a little weak, there are moments in 5 that really did soar for me. Mm-hmm. And then of course there's a lot that doesn't soar. But so 3 and 5 are neck and neck, but I give the edge to 3, then 5, and then 4. Like I said, that motive for 4 worked. And there are a few moments that work in 4, but overall, I didn't care about anyone. It's just, and it looks like absolute crap.
It looks like crap. And you want to know something? Ugh. Listen, that scene where she roughs herself up was some of the best. Look, bottom line, even though it's at the bottom of my list, it's at my bottom of the list for this very reason, that they're doing something original and fresh and then just totally cop out at the end. Like they're like, oh, we're now going to like bring us into Jill's perspective and make her kind of the protagonist, which was kind of like the sort of plan. And then nope, actually Sidney's still alive, or like Sidney ends up killing her at the end. And that the problem with every Scream movie is that as it's not a problem per se, but the focus is always on the OG3, Sidney, Dewey, and Gale. Ghostface is always changing, and because of that, it makes it hurts the writing, because when you have your monster has to come back in some creative way that becomes less and less plausible. Even with Michael Myers, at least you're like, well, it's Michael, it's the same guy, and he's kind of undead or whatever. Same thing with Jason, he's kind of undead, and that it's BS, but it's kind of airtight in the sense of, undead monster that will always be back for the next sequel.
And you never know who that monster is actually going to get. Whereas with these movies, the last few, it was always like, well, we know it's everyone but these 3. Like, we haven't actually worried about any of them, in my opinion, since 2. When Dewey really gets brutally stabbed in the back, and that awesome...
And Randy dies. When you see Randy, you're thinking, oh my God, so Dewey is going to die if Randy died, And
then with the great ending of 2, when Cotton has this gun, and we know that Cotton and Sid have had a very tumultuous past, which Cotton is scary in 2. There's definitely moments where it's like,
you're not sure.
Even if he's not the killer, he's twisted. And he shoots Sidney and Mrs. Loomis, and for a second there, you don't know if Sidney made it, because back then... she still was possibly gonna get it. But then once 3 and 4, it's just, that's why I was so surprised 4, not one of them. I mean, Gale got stabbed, but I was just shocked. Like, you didn't want to scare us at all with like, maybe they really are gonna die.
Well,
it
Sidney,
just felt like they were very untouchable.
She was supposed to die or something. And I don't know. Bottom line.
One thing real quick though, Jeff, about 4 that I do appreciate though, is even though we knew, okay, they're not going to be killed, I was still on edge, especially with, if you remember in 4 at the house at the end, Sidney's like on the roof of the house and it's her and Ghostface and she's like hanging off the house. There were moments where I was like, oh crap, maybe I'm going to be surprised and Sidney's not going to make it. This new one, I never worried whatsoever, which sort of, I never did. I'm like, the second she has her leather, she walks right in. I'm like, oh yeah, she's not.
I'm Sidney fucking Prescott.
Oh,
hey,
I know,
hey,
I know, and I like
I'm
that
Sidney
line.
Prescott. Hey,
I'm Sidney fucking
Prescott. What the fuck?
The fucking was not needed. Oh, it was not needed. But you didn't see the trailer until after.
No,
the movie.
I did not. So I didn't know.
Trailer, when she does say, see, they cut out the fucking. They said she just says, I'm Sidney Prescott. Of course I have a gun. So I was like, ooh. But then the fucking, I was like, oh no, there was no need to change that. The line you had in the trailer was no.
I agree with Ballard here. I do agree. The even though I was annoyed by the hospital, that shot of Ghostface with the head cocked and and the walking and the sound, the voice changer in the neck, that was cool as hell.
Did anyone else though think that the red dot was a camera? Because notice how every sequel from 2, 3, and 4 someone is always recording something, whether it's Gale recording something even from one, which I'm like, I don't know. And I understand why Gale was softer in this film. Of course, there's some history with her and Dewey, but Gale, I still want you to kind of be a bitch and kind of be
She wasn't a bitch at all. She was not a bitch at all.
And I'm like, you're not even going to record this? I thought for sure when they got to Stu's house at the end and Sid says, you ready for this? And Gale says this, no. At least she's going to pull out her cell phone or something and clip it to her and be like, I'm at least going to record this for my national talk show. Come on, Gale. And instead, I'm like,
oh my God, she could have fucking she could have whipped out her fucking cell phone and been like, let me record you. Let me record you killers.
Let me record
so on brand
motive. Oh my God.
So on brand. And they would have totally been into it. No, they would have said to her, they would have said, Gale, live stream this shit. They would have been live streaming the whole thing.
They would have had the gun to her head and said, you better still keep recording this.
They would have been live streaming. They would have been live streaming this. That was my bullshit, man.
So with my fan film, I like wrote, and it's such a mess because it's like 20 pages long. I wrote a whole treatment for my own idea for Scream 5. And absolutely, Gale at the end, spoiler alert, in my idea, she survived as well. But at the end, she is recording this, and she is the first person to say, I know who the killer is. Everyone look at me. I have the story. Because that ultimately is Gale Weathers. At the end of that first film, she's cut up and bleeding, and she's like, come on, this is my big shot. So that will always be Gale, and that's why we love her. So in this one, I was kind of like, you're not even recording anything, even audio? And then the killers, ever since 2, a killer is always recording because he or she is making the movie. So I'm shocked. Guys, you're not recording any of this. So when I finally saw that red light, I'm like, oh, okay. They want to record like Dewey getting it. Ooh, that's twisted. But then it's just the voice changer. I'm like, oh, okay. So does the voice changer have a red light? I don't know. I was a little like, but going back to what that person said, yeah, I have to say, bold, daring move to go back to this empty Woodsboro hospital right after the last film. Very bold. I don't know if I would have done that. But it works. I have to say, a lot of that works. That whole amazing middle of the movie sequence with Jenna Ortega in the wheelchair, and I am scared for her. And
I was scared for her too. I was scared for Jenna the whole time. Jenna.
Oh, Jeff, I know she's your Jenna, and I have to say, because I don't know her all that well, fantastic performance.
Oh, you like her? Yes.
One of the best performances in the whole franchise.
I agree.
And oh my God, I do have to say, I applaud these writers and filmmakers. And I know I'm jumping a little bit, but if you don't mind me saying, I just love that the opening death is not a death. It's just an opening attack.
Yes.
And that person not only survives that scene, survives the whole movie. That is nice new territory that surprised me and put a smile on my face. And I thought, wow, okay, we're doing something new. Yeah. Plus Jenna Ortega's acting. Oh my God. Yeah. I totally agree.
Ballad says Jenna Ortega's acting with her brutal. This is a podcast as well. Jenna Ortega's acting with her brutal injuries, trying to wheel herself. She's my favorite of the new cast, hands down.
Totally.
We're all in agreement, all thoroughly in agreement here.
And it made me think of, was it Nightmare on Elm Street 3 or 4? There's a guy in a wheelchair. And I feel like this was a little bit of a nod. I forget which one, but I'm pretty sure there's someone in a wheelchair. And that reminded me of that.
3, maybe
in
the
3
hospital?
in Dream Warriors. And it made me think of that and the hospital connection. And I was scared for her because then her hand is ripping open again. She's trying desperately to get away. That whole scene. And notice, everybody, that was the first time, and I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure, first time in the whole Scream franchise someone was dead that never had a line. Because I noticed in these films, every character, even the security guards in Scream 2, have some lines before they get killed in the car, right? This was the first time we saw just a dead body on the floor.
That's true.
The security. We've never.
Great observation.
And it worked. I like that. It's a little bit of the new Halloween where like everyone's just getting slashed, but it works because seeing that dead body with the blood on the floor, I was like, oh shit, he's already here.
Val, I agree. I think maybe Wes should have survived. It was brutal to have both of them die. But hold on. But let's pause. Putting a pause here because this is just
getting warmed up.
We're fine. I know. Me too. I'm taking off my. I think it's too. Oh, nice.
I know. I got to take off my. I'm wearing a Riverdale football jacket that looks like Woodsboro. So
we're ready for round 2. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
So first of all, initial thing I want to say is I was thoroughly entertained by Scream 5. I had a great time. It definitely it tries to break new ground in certain aspects. It does try new things, which is at this point, because I think we've seen everything we need to see after Scream 3. I'm going, whatever you're gonna do, but like break new ground, because you gotta do something here. Don't be Halloween over and over and over again.
Right.
Here's my hot take. That will surely stir controversy.
Oh boy.
I thought that pretty much all three of the originals, I was like, they felt like extra appendages. I didn't even really need them. You could have had, if I had my druthers, they would have each made a kit. Maybe David Arquette would have kind of stayed with them to help them solve the mystery. Gale Weathers, if it was me, she just would have been on the TV, and that would have been it. We just would have seen her in her life. She's doing her show. I mean, if something's happening in Woodsboro, of course Gale is going to come back to Woodsboro. She'll always come back to a thing. So that's kind of hard not to do. However, I would have preferred that Gale bought the farm and not Dewey, and yes, I think it should have been Gale to get it. Yeah, wow. I kind of feel like Dewey's been stabbed so many times that like here's the thing about a Scream movie. If you get stabbed like a bunch of times, it's like an inoculation from death. Like if you've been like, look at Jenna Ortega at the beginning. Jenna becomes a pincushion, and so we know that she's probably safe for the rest of the movie. Like they're not going to do that and then take her out. And thank goodness, because when I saw what I thought was a spoiler, it was not, because I didn't see the trailer. That's why I was so pissed.
Well, now that you've seen the trailer, right now, you were probably like me, where it's like, well, shit, guys, you're giving away the whole opening death.
Which is why I'm so glad I didn't watch. Yeah, which is why I'm so glad I didn't watch it.
But now I understand why they really played that up, because actually
it was very subversive. It was very subversive. I love the idea of introducing these new characters. I loved the characters themselves for the most part. For the most part, I like the new teens. That opening scene that's supposed to mirror the original one where they're at the fountain or whatever, like their version of the fountain. Yeah, the picnic table scene. I was like, oh, I like it. Great. I like all these kids. This is cool. I'm down with this. I love, again, I was so relieved when Jenna Ortega survived, and I was like, oh my God, maybe we have a new Sidney on our hands. That's cool. I'm just trying to do a very brief overview of a few things before we launch in. What really bothered me to no end, though, besides the cop out of like the killers and their motivation and whatever, and being like, it's okay, I guess it works. What really upset me was Neve Campbell more than anything else.
Really?
I was so disappointed. Why? Okay. The best part about Neve Campbell in this movie is the fact that she does end up with Detective Mark Kincaid from Scream 3.
Which is so funny, Jeff. Yes. I didn't even, oh my God. I have to tell and I'm embarrassed to even admit this, but I was texting my friend Tom after we saw the movie in separate places.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love that she married a guy named Mark. Whoa, was that after me? And he's like, you, and I forgot that was Kincaid's first name. And like we said on my show, like Kincaid never came back, and he was such a major role in 3.
Yeah, because he was supposed to be a love interest in 3, and they dialed it back. So the fact that they wound up together, they had kids, that made me really happy. And frankly, in my opinion,
said on the phone to Dewey, because did he say how's Mark, or I'm trying to remember the dialogue.
There was something about Mark. It was the worst conversation I have ever heard in my life. This dialogue, this expositional dialogue, we get the same thing. It's the same thing that we got between Leia and Han in Star Wars: The Force Awakens, where they're literally talking about their history to each other, that they both already know this history. And if you're a writer, then when you're writing characters' dialogue, they don't need to say the full thing. They usually say an abbreviation of the thing, because they're talking in shorthand. People talk in shorthand. And so when you see Dewey and Gale, like him explaining to us.
Yes, I was feeling the emotion, I have to say, because I don't know, we know that they were a couple, which one of my friends that came with us to see it, he had no idea they were married in real life. I'm like, he's like 10 years younger than us, but I'm like,
their
oh my God, come
whole
on.
marriage
Hello.
is like mirrored to Scream.
Yes. But so their dialogue in that scene definitely, you know, I was getting emotional. But yeah, when he said, that's why I left in the middle of the night, I was like, oh my God, this is way too much exposition, guys. Like, no, like you, and with the sisters, there was so much talking in this movie. However, half of it was only actually understandable for me. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But I know what you mean. And that phone call with Sidney and Dewey also just kind of broke my heart because in my mind, they talk every now and then. They maybe not every day, but they every couple months they have a nice phone conversation. This seemed like Dewey called her out of the blue. They have not spoken in years, and there was a major distance.
I was so baffled. Baffled.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, hey, Dewey, what's up? Like, how you been?" Like, it just was so. I'm like, these guys have been through 4 Scream assaults. They should just be. She'd just be like, it would if this is here. Ready? I'm gonna write better dialogue right now. Hey, hey, what's up? Hey, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Well, I've got some bad. Like, literally, that's what they would say.
Right.
That's what you would say. You would be. It would be a shorthand. Hey, you okay? What's going on? How is everything? Are you sleeping? Are you having problems sleeping again?
How's your back? Or like, like how was that doctor visit? I don't know. I just wanted them to be like, yeah, we talked last month, so let's follow up that last conversation. But instead, this was like, wow, I haven't heard from you in so long. What's going on? And that just
it was so awkward, man, for me. I was just like, I was just really bummed. I was bummed out by that. And then, you know, again, even more so than in Scream 4, Scream 5, Nev Campbell is like, I got paid like $2 million to do this. And like, she's like, and she's ready to do another one. She's like, she's down. She's like, I'm down. I'll do Sidney for cash any day of the week. Like, I'm down.
So you think that's what she's doing now? She's just like, hey, I know the fans love me and love this character, so I'll continue to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
it's a bummer, dude. I just don't want her in it. I don't need her.
I know.
I'd rather have her be what she was in those movies for me. And again, listen, I'm so glad I see people are stoked in the comments and stuff. Like, I'm happy that like everybody's stoked. I want there to be more Scream. However, we need Degrassi the next generation here. We need new blood.
Think we have. Okay? I think we have that because the film ends with so many survivors that you know, that's why I said like we definitely have people that are going to carry over. What's sad to me is I know what you mean, Jeff. Even though I think Sid did have some cool stuff to do in this film, I kind of was just a little confused about the Sid and Gale dynamic. Even though it was awesome to see them join forces, and especially with this new older girl Sam, like the 3 of them were like, new Charlie's Angels. But like, why is Sid putting the tracker on their car and not Gale?
Weird, so fucking weird. Okay, can we talk? Hold on, let's talk about this for a minute. Let's talk about this. First of all, talk about, we were talking about, Gale being a bitch, but like, this is like, the writers were like, all right, Sidney and Gale, bad bitches with guns. Like, like it just, here's the thing. Bottom line, Sidney Prescott, 4 times she's been attacked by random, unpredictable people because people just randomly target her for her history and blah, 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 blah. You would imagine, even with Kincaid and all that stuff, now she has children. She's not stepping a foot in Woodsboro as a mom.
Right. And she even says that, like, oh, I have kids, like, whoa. But
so
then
what are you doing here? What are you doing here?
Because of Dewey, but also I kind of wanted her to know. That's why, real quick, I know I'm jumping around.
No,
but
go ahead.
I also think it's really strange that 4 and 5 really have not touched at all on social media. Not Instagram, Facebook,
not
Snapchat.
At all.
And I was just like, man, what a great, and that's, again, going back to that red dot. Film Dewey dying and put that all
live stream it on Facebook.
And
they're
that's
afraid.
How Sid finds out.
They're afraid.
You know what I mean?
They're afraid of like.
You think that might like immediately like date it or something?
No, I think it's more like maybe it's like the people being inspired by violence sort of thing, like what happened with Dexter. Like people might be like, because that really has happened. People really have live streamed death, and shootings have been live streamed on this whole YouTube. We're so this is going to get so buried in the algorithm because of the stuff we're talking about, but whatever, it is what it is.
They're like, okay,
that's all of this stuff. We've hit every branch of the YouTube algorithm tree falling down. It's okay. We have to discuss this. I think that maybe like the sensitivity towards real life might have prevented that, but that's really what.
But like,
here's the. Yeah, sorry.
I want to. No, I was just going to say, but and you have a great point. That probably is what it is. But man, these films have always kind of been about technology, right? The first film, not everyone had a cell phone.
It's all cutting. It's supposed to be about cutting edge technology,
and then how the killer was filming things. So it's always been a little bit about that. And so yeah, we have a lot of texting going on, which is great. But like, what about the social media? And
well, I love that at the beginning. At the beginning, that was great with where Amber. Yeah. She says, I'm not Amber. And obviously it's really Amber because Amber's one of the killers.
I know. Which is I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that was very effective. Like,
so then, Jeff, do you think the video of Amber getting ready in her window, which was a little bit of like a nod to Halloween, I thought. So then was that, let's just say that was not live. That was that Richie outside of Amber's house recording video?
Pre-taped at some point, I guess. It seemed like it was being streamed live.
It seemed like it was being streamed live, but then it's like, well, who's holding that? Because then Richie, which I believed him, he was back in Modesto. We don't know how far away that is from Woodsboro.
That's true.
He's with Samantha the night
which
that
we need to talk about.
That Tara is attacked. So it's like, Amber's doing all this by herself.
Yes.
So then, that must have been like pre-taped by Richie, I assume, a previous time when he was like away from Sam, went to Woodsboro with his girlfriend Amber. Like I was just thinking of the logistics. It's like, cool. So that is actually Amber. Oh my God, this isn't Amber. It really is Amber. But like, who's holding the camera that's on Amber?
It might have been. You know what I mean? She might have. I don't know. But
also,
probably has to be him.
Why bring up Sam and Tara's mom if we're never going to meet her? Do you know what I mean?
So here's what I think happened.
And you and I have talked about how the mother in these movies is kind of a big, important thing. So I thought, we have like an albatross.
It's like this whole thing.
We have like a drunk mom with some history, or we're going to meet her, right? And it's like, we never
even
did.
After her kid is stabbed a whole bunch of times, we don't see her. But but here's the thing. Oh God, what was I about to say about?
Oh, sorry.
No. I'm trying to remember. I just had it in my head. About social media. No,
Amber on the phone.
Amber on the phone, talking about the killers. I
liked how they were talking about stab trivia.
Well, that was
that.
No, that was great. Cool. Listen, the opening. I was, dude. I literally like the entire opening of that film. I'll tell you when I started to fall out of the movie, like really fall out of it. And here's the thing. Again, I want to reiterate. I had a great time. I enjoyed myself. A lot of this stuff that I'm talking about, all of my nitpicks and constructive criticism comes from my love.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
This.
I agree.
It comes from the love of like wanting this to be more than what it was.
We nitpick and pull it apart because like we
love it so much. Yeah. Yes. No, that it was when we find out the big reveal. Oh, that's what it was about the mom. We were talking about the mom, and I thought we were going to meet the mom. So here's what I think happened, and this happens all the time, especially with the movie. All Scream movies are about 2 hours long. This film was 114 minutes. It was, even though it's 114 minutes, which is almost 2 hours long, it feels so lean. It feels so, you feel like there's so much has been left on the cutting room floor. I bet you
I agree.
This movie is probably 2 hours and 15 minutes with all the little extra character bits that add, including maybe something from Mom might be in there.
Yeah.
I think so then there's the relationship between Tara and Amber being the killer. It's like, hey, they're best friends, but we never see any hint of them being best friends.
Yeah.
And I think that was all cut. And yes, Val brings it up right here. And yes, you're right, Val. They do use the smart locks, which was great. I enjoyed that.
That's true. Yeah, I like that.
They did do that. Ballard says, we know that there's a deleted scenes. For example, in the promos, there's footage of Dewey drinking at a bar. So there you go. See? And we probably I could have used Dewey drinking at a bar because Dewey is like, he's like, I'm not into this stuff. And he's like, I'll help you. Like in 2 seconds flat. Like
very fast.
But
real quick about those locks, real quick.
Yes.
So before we move on, I love that. However, and sorry if I'm really like nitpicking, but how did Ghostface have the lock code on their app? Like
technology, man. I see that. I'm okay with that. You know what's funny? That doesn't bother me because in my mind, like Ghostface killers, they have the ability, like they clone cell phones. Yeah. Right. They clone cell phones. They do this stuff that for whatever reason, again, what all of this comes down to for myself and for Mark and for all you guys is what level is our ability to suspend our disbelief. Yeah, and it's different. It's subjective for different things. There's certain things that Mark can suspend his disbelief for, and there's certain things that I can suspend my disbelief for.
Jeff, because like I can suspend disbelief on whenever Ghostface is moving. I'm okay if Ghostface is right there, and then all of a sudden, you know, I'm okay with that. It's all right. But then, yeah, certain technical things, or like, how did they get Sidney's cell phone? Because when she's in the house at the end, she's getting a call from Ghostface. How'd they get her number? I assume they took Dewey's phone. An unlisted number. Show me you taking Dewey's phone when you stab him twice with 2 knives, which was pretty epic. What a way to go! Then take his phone out and look through and be like, yeah, you know, I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking with some of that kind of.
Kirby did survive. Kirby did survive. I thought that was cool.
I missed that in the movie, but I
missed it too. Yeah.
But so then why wasn't she back?
You know what? I didn't really care much about Kirby because I didn't really care much about 4 anyway. So I was like, I thought it was a nice little Easter egg.
Speaking of Kirby, I'll just say this right now. The next one I want to see, maybe because
you can bring her back now.
My own idea for 5 was set in New York, so it's funny just because I love how 2 took us away from California. Next one, I do not want to be in Woodsboro. I think it was already risky to go back to Woodsboro right after we just returned
you know why?
to Woodsboro.
Yeah, you know why? There's a reason why. Because and it's one of the big problems with this film and requels in general. And I don't want to get hate for this because I love nostalgia. I'm a huge nostalgia guy. Give me a heavy dose of nostalgia is what audiences want. People want nostalgia. Give it to them. It makes movies better. I have no problem with nostalgia. However, yes, Ghostface Goes to Manhattan.
Exactly.
Like
and then they could make fun of that and be like, what is this? Ghostface Goes to Manhattan.
But well, they do that.
It kind of works because Gale's
but they do that in this movie too. They do that in this movie too because what they do is they're like that they're so meta, they're so self-aware that they're going. The writers are literally going, "Hey, we are so self-aware about how ridiculous we're being sometimes that we're trying to take away any power away from you from criticizing us. So we know, so we're going to put in a joke about making fun of the fact that this is Scream without." You know, the whatchamacallit, the seagull. I think Mark froze. Mark, we lost Mark, you guys. He's frozen. I don't know if he can. Oh, he'll come back. Mark, just click back in when you get a second. He'll be back. Everybody, this happens sometimes. We get this. It's like this. Here we go. He's back. There you go.
So
hey, that's okay. Happens.
I say criticizing. I didn't hear the rest of your thought.
No, like about like how, you know, they have that joke in there about calling the movie not giving a sequel a sequel number and just calling it Stab again in the same way that they did for Scream. It's like, we're going to put that joke in there because everybody's making fun of us for not calling this 5 Cream or Scream 5, you know? So
exactly,
it's like,
yeah.
It's like,
and I guess it was making fun of Halloween 2018, like we were saying. There's now so many, you know,
you can't make fun of us because we already made fun of ourselves. Ha 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 ha. You know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I guess so. Yeah,
they do that too, and you know, I'm all for a healthy dose of nostalgia, and that's what they're trying to do with Stu's house. They're bringing us back to Stu's house, which is a great idea. And I love the reveal.
However, we have been there again before in 3, which was pretty effective. I liked when she was walking around on that set, and it was like, oh crap, I've been in this exact place before, and then in her own house. So for me, it was kind of like, we have already been there.
We're rehashing it. We're just rehashing it over and over again.
In my opinion, if we're going to go back to Stu's house, don't put it on the poster. Don't make it so obvious for the fans. Instead, I want to find out we're in Stu's house after I'm like, wait, this looks slightly familiar. And not until Sid is on the phone with Sam saying, get out of there. That's Stu Macher's house. And then that camera does that cool trick.
Which was
then
so great.
I want to be like,
which I was like,
oh
yes.
Yes.
Which I was like,
already
yes.
Knew.
Right.
We already knew, right?
So that was right. Well, no, I didn't actually. I was unaware.
It
was a surprise. It was a surprise for me.
But it was on the poster, so I guess you didn't notice.
They did an Airbnb promotion.
Yes, and that was also Stu's house. So they were really playing it up.
They were playing it up, but I didn't put,
original
I
house.
really had forgotten. So when we
Okay.
went in there, I was like, oh, cool, they're in Stu's house. However,
Okay.
it also felt like a cheap, like, hey, instead of giving us the stuff that like matters, that really counts, we're giving you a cheap nostalgia pill to make you think this is really good. Like, oh, you're going to love this because we're in Stu's house, but never mind the fact that the killers have a weak motive. You know, that kind of thing.
It's all going back to the original, even the original location, and we're having a party, which we need to talk about this party in a minute. But here's what I'm trying to get at with Stu's house. If you're really going to make us go back, we've now been at this house in one version or another, in 1, 3, and 5. If you're going to make us go back, and a killer for the first time is going to be set on fire, which was pretty cool, and Gale, like,
oh yeah, that was great.
That was a cool moment and pretty gnarly.
Yep.
Can the house burn down? Because that's the final shot I want to see. The last shot of the movie echoes the same ending shot of the first film. We just didn't, because it was all on a soundstage for confidentiality. So this actually was not, but so how sick would it have been if everyone's being rushed out and everyone's going to their ambulances and Sid and Gale, and there's a new reporter telling us what's going on while part of the house has completely crumbled and it's just smoke and flames, and that is now over, right? I just thought, like, if you're going to set something on fire, let's burn this bitch to the ground. Like, that's a real
I love that idea
in the story. So it's just sort of a bummer, like, all right, the house is still going to be there, and I guarantee in Scream 8, guess what, guys, we're going to go back to Stu Macher's house. It's just like, just
how many times are we going to go back? Yes. Yeah, Ballad, totally agree with you. It was a great shot. It was a great reveal. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But again, a bottom line, like, all of the things that really count, because here's the thing. We don't need any more nostalgia, because that's what, like, again, we got a heavy dose of this in Scream 3 and even in Scream 2. Wait a minute, they're making a movie about the first movie and then having that in the sequel. How fucking cool is that? And then the third one, now they're on a set of where the original movie took place, and like they did such a good job doing this stuff. Now it's like, continue Scream, and you have to continue Scream by building us a solid framework. And that began, well, let's talk, there's 2 elements I really want to talk about.
Yeah.
Element number 1, I want to talk about Sam and Tara, and I want to talk about Billy's ghost. Okay, first of all, I loved Billy's ghost. I did.
No, you did?
Yes, I loved Billy's ghost. However,
I gotta go.
Wait. No. Mark, wait. Wait.
Oh.
No. Hear me out.
Tell me why. No, I'd love to hear. Tell me why. Try to change my mind.
Okay. First of all, I just want to say I did not understand where they took things with Billy's ghost. The idea of Billy's ghost was super cool, and bringing back Skeet Ulrich to do that, I was like, wow, this is going to be when we first see the ghost. I'm going, wait, what? I'm like, how are they connected? That's crazy. Why is that happening? And then the cop. Okay, so here's the thing. I feel like there's no clever way to bring Billy's ghost into the movie. In the way that they bring Billy's ghost into the movie doesn't totally work. What would have worked, what would have made sense, and what would have given Sidney a better arc is if Sidney saw the ghost of Billy.
Oh,
okay.
That's interesting. Okay.
That would have worked a lot, but even we already did that with Maureen Prescott, and that was perfect the way it was. So we don't even really need that. However, what they're trying to do is they're like, how do we connect the legacy? We're going to give you the Randy Meek's twin niece and nephew, which I loved.
Yeah.
Totally love that. That was great. And we're going to give you the daughter of Billy. The idea that Billy had an affair with someone that cheated on Sidney just totally is so against everything that the first movie is about. We talked about how Billy's an incel in a way. Billy is a pent up, sexually frustrated teenager who's dealing with all sorts of fucked up mom, psycho, Anthony Perkins psycho mom issues. and needs to take the virginity of his girlfriend so that he can murder her and, you know, have closure over what happened with his mother. Like that's Billy, in a way, Billy talks about how he's trying to, they're trying to make a movie, but Billy's trying to get relief from the demons in his head, it seems, in that kind of way. You erase all of that by giving him an illegitimate child. That's
super interesting, Jeff, because it didn't bother me that much. But talking to some people after it, and they agree exactly with what you said, that also it's kind of like, he's all fucked up because dad was cheating on mom, right? So why would he cheat on his girlfriend? That's not really.
Oh, actually, that's no. Hold on. You know, that's something I did not think about from that angle. And on that angle, that makes a lot more sense than what I was saying, in the sense of like, what it does actually is it sort of switches everything. Everything that we talked about previously almost kind of becomes like, this theory becomes negated. And instead, it's like he's trying to do what his dad does. He's trying to, it's almost like he's connecting. And we know that's bullshit because he's the guy with mom issues. It's not so much dad issues. He's still with his dad. You know, we see his dad. So it's like the idea that he has an illegitimate child is already a stretch. But for the sake of trying to continue the legacy and do something interesting and sort of almost create a passing on of the psychosis that was in Billy, I will allow it. I'll go, okay. But what I found frustrating is we get this long, like pseudo emotional, I guess, diatribe about the like reveal. It's like, wait, why aren't you saving this for the third act? Why not let us the entire movie wonder why she's talking to fucking Billy's ghost, you know? And then here's what I was, all right. So I this is what I was thinking in my head when I walked out of that movie. I'm going, first of all, as much as I love Tara and wanting Tara to be like the good guy and like the new Sidney and like just be a badass, like, and everything, at the end of the day, I thought Tara, at first I thought what's his face was gonna be, I did predict that what's his face was the killer, Jack Quaid. I called that.
Oh my God.
I called that. Totally.
Guys, as soon as he was cast, I was like, oh, he seems like good killer. Yeah. Obviously killer material.
That was an inspiration. However, I thought they kept saying there's always two killers. So I thought, oh, these guys are smart. They're going to give us three killers, which would have been so fucking cool.
And I actually thought what could have been really cool is when Dewey stupidly goes back to shoot the killer in the head. Wouldn't it have been pretty awesome if he takes the mask off and we see it's someone, and then they open their eyes, they kill him right there, right? So we at least know, oh my God, we know one of the killers. So we think, okay, there's only one more left. This is new territory. It's halfway through the movie. We know one killer. There's only one. But then then you see like two.
How many layers just to know what one of the killers was? And here's the thing, I
think it should have been two girls. I mean, when are we going to get two?
Women? Here's the thing. I thought, without a doubt, in my mind, at the very end, it kind of broke my heart a little bit. I thought Tara was the other killer. I thought Tara was going to be the third fucking killer, and I thought that her and Amber had like a fucking heavenly creatures.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Thing going on. Like, we're best friends.
And you know,
stab me, totally, you know, like,
and that's again going back to like my own film, kind of similar, because what I want to see is the very first face in a Scream film is actually the killer. And so that's what I did with mine. Is we see this bad actress in a stab pilot. She actually is one of the killers at the end. So I know what you mean, Jeff. For a second there, I was like, oh shit, Tara's actually in on it. But I think that would be too similar to Emma Roberts from 4. I think that would be too similar of, oh, this innocent girl that we've been rooting for is actually the killer. I don't think you can do it again so soon, especially with a young girl. You know what I mean?
Ballard says in the OG, it's like Jodie Foster seeing visions of her dead father. That is really cool. Incorporated into the Ghost for Sam. That's an interesting connection there.
That's a
good call. Totally good call. However, here's the thing. Number one, instead of Sam finding out that her father was Billy in these diaries, how much better would the reveal be that fucking Tara is the one that tells her sister and that she found the diaries, And that explains why she's been seeing visions of this dead guy, Billy, in her fucking mind. So it's a little not supernatural per se, but almost like that Tara, that's why it all happened. That Tara was like, I found out that your dad is Billy and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, I love the idea of Sam kind of like having these killer urges. What I hated was that Billy's ghost becomes like this wise sort of guide to show her how to kill. And I'm like, that is the dumbest. First of all, you're like glorifying a serial killer, number one. Number two, like Billy was a psycho, like sick to mental, like do not glorify him. It's like he's like this weird sort of fatherly ghost, like showing her how to kill. Like it was so
in that mirror shot, how he, which, you know, in the moment I was like, oh, okay. Like that was
well, it was the ghost of the fucking father in the place where he was killed.
Yes. And he just kind of gives that nod of like the knife there, you know. But for me, which I was like, oh my God, you know, but then I was happy to see not only just a woman do this, but anyone who's a victim. I was so happy to see, because at the end of these movies, they always kill them just with a gun. It's very, you know, blunt and
I hate quick. The gun. I hate the first one uses a gun, but it makes sense. Dewey had a gun. They get a hold of the gun. That works.
And also in the first one, Sid kills one of them with a TV, which was so brilliant. And I kind of miss in 4 and 5. There's just so much stabbing, which we know, of course, stabbing is the main way people die in these
movies.
Everybody's
got Glocks and guns.
Can we get a little like creative? Like I miss the hanging. There was no dead body display in this one, which made me sad.
Dead body display.
There was no TV. There's no garage. There's
discovery.
It's all just like stabbing. And don't get me wrong, some of the deaths, a lot of neck stuff was quite freaky for sure.
Man,
and this movie was. Oh, I know. That was a way to go. I have to say,
there was a way to go, but why kill Dewey? There's literally no reason why Dewey should have died. I just like, why? It was pointless. It was to be like, hey, nobody's safe. But it's like, just like first of all, and then here's the other thing too. Like Sidney and Gale basically like decide they're going to go and kill this guy. Like all these movies have sort of worked by not like they're not that our heroes are law abiding, but there's always some sort of like police element there to kind of like sort of divide the line of the vigilantism. And this is the first time where it's like, you know, I understand Ballard mentioned why they're in an abandoned hospital or whatever, but like, or not, or like, you know, it's a private floor in the hospital
floor. Yeah.
But like, to me, it's just kind of like, I felt like there was never any, it's just like, there's never any police presence around. There's no, like the police are like, oh, we forgot to watch Tarot because we came over here because we heard about the.
Yeah. And I know, and that was so annoying to me. Also, I'm kind of sick of seeing so many bumbling cops in this town when you've now had 1, 4, and now 5. You've had so many murder sprees in this town that guys, come on, you know?
Totally.
But one last thing with the Billy thing.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I liked the idea. That was interesting. I know what you mean. It gets a little complicated because it's like, I wish when Sam and Sid meet later in the movie at the hospital. First of all, Sidney seems to already kind of know. She's not shocked at all. She kind of knows that Sam is Billy's daughter. Like, I feel like there was no big like,
oh my God, that was the worst thing. There's no emotional gravitas between I dated and lost my virginity to your father, who I murdered after he killed all of my friends.
Billy and Sid were together for a year, and that's why he really wanted her to just, you know, give up her virginity. They've been together for a long time.
It makes sense that he might cheat on her because he's sexually frustrated, but I just I think it ruins some of the what makes the original so great. Like that takes away from it. It bothers me.
I know what you mean because we've said, and it's very obvious, sex was so important in the first 3 films, especially the first film. So it is sort of weird that he just sort of threw that away, but I'm okay with that. But for me, it was just like, wait a minute, can I at least see Sid just register this news? And also register, it's like, oh my God, your mom was whatever her name is, Christina or whatever. Like, wait, what was her name? Christina whatever. It's like, oh my God. Like, I just wanted, maybe it's cheesy and sorry everybody, but I wanted Sid to just say like, that's funny because I always thought something was going on, but I just ignored it.
Yeah, like, it just like, she's so wooden. She's complete, like Neve Campbell is so wooden in this film. It's like there is every line is so like telegraphed is not the right word. Yeah, I guess like, telegraphed. Yeah.
Yeah. It just feels like very distant, dialed in. Yeah. And it's a shame because she does get to do a couple cool things, but it's all she really
has some zingers. She has some one-liners at the end. But again, you're a mother, and again, not to say that mothers can't be badasses and do cool shit, but it's just like, it's like you have children now, and like you have a family to think about, and you're up here hunting Ghostface to protect your children. I just feel like she, especially like Detective Kincaid, like she's like, honey, like get us into like isolate us. We need special police protection. Like I feel like Sidney's worrying about the well-being of her children. Like she would not leave her children unguarded. Like that seems so like,
I don't know. I
just didn't make any sense to me.
It was okay for me to see her come back because Dewey died. Like that was next level.
Yeah,
like,
you right. I keep forgetting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but she wasn't even like that emotional about Dewey dying.
And
she wasn't emotional at all.
I would have paid extra if the two women, which that was a touching scene, they're hugging, and I believed Courtney when she's crying and she's just distraught that her ex-husband.
Yeah, that was more believable. That was sad.
That was more believable. But I would have paid extra. Just give me 1 minute of footage of the two women talking a little bit more. Like I wanted to see these two who have had a very complicated history. I mean, remember the first two films, Sidney like punches the woman, you know, and now they're hugging and they're bonding over this man that they've loved in different ways, who's dead, and they've lost touch with him, and that guilt and that sadness. Like, give me that. Like, that's the
and he was in such a good place. He was in such a good place in 4, and then to just take that all away from him is just like kind of bummed me out.
Why was he like? Why Dewey shouldn't be in a trailer?
And why wasn't he just with the sheriff? He should have been shacked up with the cop. The other,
I thought he was with Judy, and then that's again kind of fun for bitchy Gale to come out because we know Gale and Judy hated each other.
That was actually one of the best dynamics. That was one of the best dynamics from 4, which was
although the lemon square shit was just not funny. And it's funny how they did the nod, but like that lemon square tastes like ass line from 4 is just like, can we just focus on what actually matters?
Her and Parker, it was a carryover from her and Parker Posey in 3, which was like some of my favorite stuff too, by the way. Talk about another level of meta. Like I'm teaming up with the fictional Gale Weathers to solve a mystery.
Totally.
Like how do people hate 3? How do people hate 3? It's so fucking good. Like I just don't get it.
It's only because once Kevin Williamson stopped writing these films all by himself, he only wrote 1 and 2 by himself, right? Because then 3, Aaron Kruger took over. 4, it's Kevin Williamson, but Aaron came back, and then obviously Kevin Williamson didn't write. But only Kevin Williamson truly can write that fine line of horror and comedy and make it feel so three-dimensional. I think with 3, it just went super Scooby, and it was so goofy to the point where I'm not really watching real people like me anymore. You know, like 1 and 2, those people in film class or at the fountain talking about this stuff, they are me. In 3 and 4 and now
the 5, dialogue was so much better. In 2,
I'm not fully seeing me anymore. You know what I mean?
1 and 2 had such good dialogue.
Because also there was bite there, but it wasn't. But they still cared about each other. Can everybody just remember? In 1, they have a party because at that point they only know that Casey Becker and Steve died. And it seems like Casey was sort of made fun of by some people. So yes, it's a little cold to throw a party, but they don't really know her that well. This film, Wes has just died. In 4, Olivia was brutally murdered with her guts everywhere. Why are you guys having a stab-a-thon? Why are you having a party? It's very cold. And I think these writers and like producers are like, well, that's what happened in the first film. And but wait a minute, like the first film, they all have a bite and an edge and they make fun of each other. But I can imagine Tatum really letting Stu throw a party if Randy died in the middle of Scream 1. No, she'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, to have this rave at the house after Wes has died, Tara's been like brutalized. Like it just felt like, wait a minute, why are we having this rave? I want someone to be like, this seems really stupid, but no one did.
Let's talk about Mindy and how, first of all, Mindy and her twin brother and the whole gang. So here's the thing. I was watching this film. I was watching this film and I'm going, wow, there is a future for this. They breathed in. I was really like stoked about these characters, even though we didn't get to see. I thought they're setting up Tara and Amber's relationship to be this whole thing, and it's completely gutted out. Besides that, like they're setting up these new characters. I do agree. I think Sam, her acting is. It's not a lot of it. She was, I don't know. I kind of felt like Jenna Ortega would have been a better Sam than,
Sam. I think Sam honestly was a very tough role. Honestly, there's a lot.
Melissa Berea,
and she's great in The Heights. That's really the only other thing I've seen her in. She's beautiful, but like, I think it was a very hard
actress.
role.
She's not a bad actress, but the performance didn't really work for me.
I just think it was a very hard character. A lot of camera time. She's basically the lead. A lot of camera time.
Sidney,
she kind of has to bring everyone together. Dewey and the young kids. And here's the thing. She's at an interesting age. I did kind of like how they mixed like 25-year-olds with teens,
right?
And then 50-year-olds, right? But like, so she's also kind of the out of water girl because of her age. She doesn't live there, yet she's the glue to everyone. So that was a little odd. And then she has so much damn exposition and explaining to do that it's like
exposition.
It kind of starts to feel like an episode of Dawson's Creek, which is funny.
I was literally dying.
Yeah, right. And like the whole, I really wanted. In my ideal sequel here, I want Sam to tell Tara in the hospital bed, listen, like I left because I found out who my dad is, and it's Billy Loomis. And it's like, what the hell? No. Because at first, right, Tara's like, get the fuck out of here. I want Sam to take Richie to their house, to Sam and Tara and their mom's house. And I actually wanted her to show me the journals. Like, I know that's kind of not realistic because mom probably threw them away, but actually show me the journals. Let Richie read them. And it goes back to what you actually told me, Jeff, and others have told me. I remember a long time ago when we were talking about our films, Wash Away and Family History, and I was going through some drafts and I was like, well, this is a little Get Out at the end. So I'm just having them explain it. And you even said what I had heard before. Don't tell us, show us. Show, don't tell.
Right.
And I was like, I thought of you while watching this. I'm like, wait a minute, just show me the journals. Can I see you reading them? Can I see Richie, who's really unaware, we think, reading them and be like, holy shit, and then give them to Tara. And now we have an actual thing with secrets, and it's not just talk.
Or how about this? Well, there's like, again, they felt like there were infinite wonder. They had wonderful setups and they just did not, they had wonderful ideas. They just did not execute in the way that that made sense. Again, like, okay, either maybe Tara knows, or maybe she says, I know who my father is. And before she can get it out, have someone interrupt, keep us strung along, and then give us the final reveal. Explain to us, or again, like I said, have Billy's ghost showing up unexplained for the whole fucking movie, and then building us up. How about this? Keep building up the psychosis in her head about how she might have killer tendencies to set us up for the next film. Where, ready for this? Here's Scream 6 for you. Ready?
Yeah.
Which is something that I talked about to you in the previous episode we did. How about this? How about for Scream 6, it's completely from the killer's perspective. It's from Sam, who uses the Ghostface moniker to be a vigilante. She goes back to school. Ready? Check this out. She goes back to school. She's on campus maybe or something. Somebody gets essayed. Drinks the wrong kind of drink and, gets, that word, essayed, right? Essayed, ard, if you know what I mean. And then she puts on the ghost face and goes after the guys who did this and gives her a taste for blood. And then all of a sudden now the relationship is around her and Tara and the Meek twins, and like trying to, reconcile like Billy's voice growing in her head, telling her to do these things. Yeah. That would be friggin' interesting. That would be a cool way.
I'm into that. I'm into at least her doing it once and like, and like righting a wrong in her vigilante way, right? But then there's another killer, and like she's like, "Shit, I didn't do that." Kind of like what we were saying. What might have happened if Emma Roberts survived? It's kind of like we know she's done bad stuff, but now there's someone else, and they're on to her. So I could see that happening. Either way, I think Sam is she's got to be in the next one, and yeah, I want her to dangerously teeter into, are you a survivor? Are you a killer?
And then you can bring Billy back. You could just keep him coming back, which again, I didn't mind. I was like, okay, that's cool. But like, you're just going about this in the wrong kind of way. And then here's the other thing. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for me, for Billy's ghost, here's the thing. It's fine. It works for me. I don't want to see him because he is not how old he was 25 years ago. It looked bad. The wig, the de-aging, the makeup. And he's a great looking guy at like 51 years old. Yeah, but he's not 20 anymore. So that absolutely made me laugh out loud. And if anything, it did. I thought it was like
it was a little it's a little ridiculous.
I thought we were going to be in like Stab 8. I was like, oh, is this Stab 8? And I'm like, wait, no, this is actually,
by the way,
what's happening?
Seeing that on the computer, like with like the sleeveless Ghostface with the metallic mask and the flamethrower was hilarious. Dude, I thought that was so good.
Here's the thing. I love that they are basically mocking us, like that he's watching a YouTube review. That's great because so many. But here's the thing. I never got to see a Stab 8 clip, so I don't know. I know there's the fire and the
that was the clip.
But it was like 5 seconds long. Like, show me like a Tori Spelling Stab, Scream 2. I want to see a clip where it's like, just how bad is this movie? I can't fully gauge what I'm even seeing, like in that clip. And then for that to be the motive, Stab 8 sucked. Like, show me an actual acting scene of just how cringeworthy this was. But anyway, final thought with Billy's Ghost.
Yeah, go ahead. Final thought.
Final thing with Billy's Ghost. It should have been audio only. I wanted to hear his voice. And I don't see him to the point where I
maybe just his eyes or something. Like just something. Nothing.
I don't want to see him until that last shot of the movie where she saw her reflection in the car with him.
That would have been cool.
But by then we already know. We only hear, because I think the first time she sees him, it's in the hospital, and then he's in the car in the back seat behind her. I only want to hear his voice to the point where I'm like, wait a minute, how do I know that voice? That voice sounds so familiar.
Right.
And then Billy Loomis is my dad, and oh my God, they brought
subtly. It starts subtly
for audio, for voiceover. I don't want to see him. I saw him a million
it's just
times.
Super subtle. It's just like super subtle.
Then that's when it might not have been so cheesy if like every now and then she's hearing, this pretty young girl is hearing a creepy male voice in her head, where he's like telling her things. And that's again a nod to Psycho. Young man hearing mommy's voice in his head. Now it's young woman hearing daddy's voice in her head. Not seeing daddy, hearing daddy. That would have been much better for me.
That would have been interesting. Kevin 45 is here and he says this film was a mess. Kevin is our age as well. You know what's interesting? I feel like a lot of people in our age group who grew up with the like original, like we were a lot harder to please, I think.
Yeah.
He says this film was a mess, such a missed opportunity. This was Scream 5 and not Scream reboot. So many serious conversations, not enough fun to balance the comedy and the horror, not a single scene in school. Very true.
I did think that was interesting. No school. Yeah, but I guess because we got a lot of school stuff in 4, maybe they just were like,
possibly,
but
we got Woodsboro. We got so many Woodsboro. You're not gonna have Woodsboro and not any school. Like, come on.
Yeah, it is weird. And also I'm just shocked. Why have we not met the mayor of Woodsboro by now? Like, I want to see more Woodsboro.
We need the mayor of Woodsboro. He says nostalgia hits like reuniting characters fell flat and forced. This dude says the Arcano Video Club says, I was hoping for a big reveal, like an original core third killer, a conspiracy, an inside job man, basically Dewey under the mask. Me too. I was really hoping. I was like, here's the thing, and it makes me not trust people or not trust stuff because it's like Kevin Williamson was like amping this up so hard, obviously because he's the EP and stuff, but like in my mind, I'm like, wow, the Kevin Williamson seal of approval. This must be, they must really pull the carpet out from underneath us. There's got to be some angle that none of us are considering. One thing I did when I immediately, here's one thing that I did sort of predict in my mind, or was as I was trying to predict. As I said, I predicted that Jack Quaid, what's his name? Reggie?
Richie. Which also, real quick, these names, I'm like, what decade are we living in? There's a Richie, a Mindy, and a Chad? What the fuck?
Yeah, weird. Like, very weird. Richie, I was like, okay, Richie is definitely a killer. But in my mind, I was like, oh, maybe he is related to Stu. And this is why that would be so cool. Because he finds out, this is what I had, while I was in the theater, I thought about this. And this was, I know that the guy, the badass guy, whoever, like that loser guy that's hanging outside the bar, he's related to Stu. Super random.
They throw that out so like willy-nilly, like, oh, that's Stu's sister's son. Also, did he have maybe? Did he have like 2 lines, that actor? I mean, what a strange role to have.
So in a waste of a character.
What was his connection?
You're going to have him connected to Stu and throw him away like that. If you're going to
and also, his death, although it was a pretty awesome little jab, it was
the red right hand.
Red right hand, thank God.
That was cool. That was
at least the song was back, because in 4 there is no red right hand, which was a true. That felt like a punch. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But like, what was his connection to the group? Did he used to date Liv? Is that what she was saying?
One of the girls what's Mindy's brother's name again?
Chad.
Is that Chad? That's Chad.
Yeah, that's
Chad was hooking up with her, with the girl, and she used to hook up with Stu's nephew.
Right. Okay.
But here's the thing.
I
thought in my mind,
Liv was pointless in my mind. The girl with pink hair. I mean, like,
no, she was okay. Like, she was like kind of like a red herring. I didn't mind her character so much, but so I'm thinking in my head, I'm going, oh, I know what this is about. We find out that she's the son of Billy Loomis, and Jack Quaid is going to be some relation to Stu. And that's why he's doing this, and why he wants her to
found each other.
That's how he found her. That he knew about his lineage and knew that somehow that she was maybe from Amber, or I don't know. Again, because I thought in my head,
I like that.
Well, I thought in my head that again, I thought there was going to be a third killer. I thought it might be Tara. I was going to be upset if it was Tara, and if it was Tara, I would want her to like somehow make it to the next one and keep that's the thing. Keep one of the killers going. Let them get away for the next thing. That was the best part about Tragedy Girls. I don't know. You said you hadn't seen that yet. You have seen it?
Yeah, I saw that. I need
the best part about Tragedy Girls. Like, these are terrible people that like deserve to like get like arrested and stuff. But the fact that they like make it to the end and survive and like move on, like that was like not only opening it up for more adventures in the future, but like it's just something we don't see in that kind of way. And we've never seen it in a Scream movie. And we needed that in the Scream movie. I agree. Kevin says, and the character name Wes and Easter eggs sweep across in Elm Street. We get it, but this is really takes me out of the movie being in a reality. The Wes was so in your face. Like, get it, guys? Because Wes Craven, his name is Wes. For Wes. It's a Wes party. Like, okay. Cool.
But then he dies, and I was like, "Oh, that was bold."
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, you're gonna kill Wes."
Like, I definitely thought, like, okay, and maybe that was the point of naming him Wes. We all thought, okay, well, obviously he's gonna survive. You can't kill a character named after Wes Craven, but they did. So I'm okay with it, and I actually loved that actor. I loved the blonde hair and the nod to Psycho in the shower.
He was cool.
That was working for me. That was great. And then, and like how we touched on earlier, the double whammy with his mom and then him back to back. Well, that was brutal. Although
that was dark.
The sheriff, that was dark. And I liked how it was in the daytime. But the sheriff, I would just assume if I lived on the same street as the sheriff, like I'd be very aware she's going to get brutally like slashed to death in broad daylight right in front of her house. I can see the houses are all very close together. That felt a little strange to me.
Well,
I would have at least had her like try the front door. It's locked. She doesn't have keys. She at least runs around to the back door in the backyard where it's a little bit more private, you know, like it just
why
felt
is
weird
she
to me.
even in this movie, to be honest with you? Like, she is so like, first of all,
she's pretty minor. Yeah. It was just to say like, yeah,
her death is meaningless. That's like literally she barely has any screen time. I meant to say screen time. She has no screen time. Why is she like, it's literally like again,
no scenes with Dewey when she had so many scenes with Dewey. No scenes with Dewey. That was kind of weird.
And they both die. And I'm just kind of like, these were pointless deaths. I said to you who I thought was going to die because I hadn't seen the trailer. I thought Gale was going to bite it. I would have liked to have seen. I thought it would have made more sense for Gale to die and then Dewey to like want to get revenge. You know, and obviously Sidney can never die because she's fucking Sidney Prescott.
Yeah, we really can't kill Sidney, but I guess
she has kids now with Kincaid. We have to like let her be.
And
like,
also
happy in the burbs.
Kincaid, I don't know if anyone knows, like why didn't Patrick Dempsey make a cameo?
Yeah, just give us a little cameo.
I would have actually loved if once Dewey dies, Sidney then shows up and she says, as soon as I heard, can you show me their house where she's in the kitchen with the daughters and Mark is there and they're watching the news and she sees that Dewey Riley is dead, and she looks at Mark, she's like, I have to go. And maybe he's telling her no.
There's a whole scene with fucking Patrick Dempsey going, you can't go back, Sid.
No,
you can't go back. Don't do it. And then she gives
crying and she's holding on to him and she's like, Dewey was basically like my brother. I have to go. Right. And then he's like, okay, it's one day of work, Patrick Dempsey. Come on.
Oh my God. And wait. And as she's walking out the door, he goes, wait, Sidney. And he gives her the 2 fucking guns.
Oh my God, Jeff, that actually just gave me chills.
Come on. Like, tell us there's a cut scene with fucking Mark Kincaid where he's saying, don't go. I have to go. Don't go.
All I have to say is, since I didn't see him in this movie, he better be in Scream 6. And I think what could be a fun opening is we open with Sidney and Mark and their 2 daughters at home watching a movie. Phone ring, weird stuff, and maybe Mark is attacked or something. And now that gets Sidney, involved.
I'll be honest with you.
That could be fun.
At this point, if Sidney Prescott comes back, it has to be for a single scene cameo. Don't let us. We have these new characters. I'm very happy with them. Here's the thing that bums me out. I get so bummed out when I see characters that I love so much, like, be such like a former shell of what they were.
Yeah.
Just don't give them to me. Like, I'd rather, again, my Sidney Prescott, she finishes her whole arc at the end of Scream 3, like leaving the whole world open and life is going to be okay. And I can finally put the past to rest and be okay in life. Like, that is, and she marries Kincaid and they have kids and everybody's happy. Like, that makes me happy. Like, don't give us this fucking wooden acting, like dial-in bullshit. I don't need it, man.
Right. And also, I don't love the lines that they've given Sidney these last few films, where in 3, she says, I've heard this all before. In 4, she says something like this. Yeah. And then in 5, she says, she says, I've seen this movie before. And it's like, well, yeah, we all have. But can you just play along, Sidney? Like, the lines that they give her don't help the situation. Do you know what I mean? When she's up this, she's like, shut up. I've seen this movie before. And then he's like, well, you haven't. And
she's like, shut up. I've seen this movie before.
She's like, just come out so I can shoot you. And it's like, well, but we want there to be a little bit of suspense.
That was cool. So, when she's shooting all the doors, I was like, that was my previous complaint in 4. I was like you would imagine that Sidney does have a gun. And again, it helps to have, if your husband's a cop, because you'd imagine that she would marry a cop after everything she's been through, that she would be strapped. So that wasn't too far of a jump there, but and
I agree. I liked seeing her shoot all the doors because honestly that made sense. But also it was a fun nod to she shoots the closet that she came out of 25 years ago, which was fun. And that was the same closet and the same shot where Dewey was looking around the house and no one was around. And points the gun. So
no fucking connection or recollection. It's like, I'm in the house. It's like, okay, you're hitting us over the head with nostalgia. So then give Sidney a nostalgia trip where she's like, whoa, like give us Scream, what happened in Scream 3, but times a million. Cause she's in the place where Tatum, her best friend, died, where Dewey and Randy were shot, where her father was bound, and where she murdered her boyfriend and his best friend. Like, come on.
Totally. And learned exactly what her mom really, I mean, this house is awful for her. So yeah, it was sort of weird. She definitely reacts a little bit, but it was more just like,
she lost her virginity. She lost her virginity in this house. Like, I mean,
I'm actually surprised. Shit. I'm surprised she didn't just burn it down. She didn't just say like after everyone's dead, like,
dude, she should have burned the fucking house down. Like, like you would imagine, like, you know what else would have been kind of cool? To see her have a nervous breakdown. Like, here's the thing. If she works out all her shit in Scream 3 and you keep bringing her back into these movies, then make her fucking lose her mind.
Oh, totally. I was
thinking, her go crazy and fucking go after the Ghostface killers. Like, whoa, we thought we were going to scare you and you're scaring the shit out of us because you're way more psycho than us.
Oh, totally. Like, you know how Sid, at least in the earlier films, kind of always mirrored Laurie Strode. And then even how, back then, Laurie and Michael were brother and sister, and then Sidney and Roman, right? So I always kind of thought, like, it's kind of fun to have them ride the same wave a little bit. Mm-hmm. And in H2O, if you remember, Halloween 20 years later, Laurie Strode is like battling alcohol addiction. So I feel like,
which was great, which
was great.
Added, it added to her character. I love H2O is my favorite of the Halloween.
Oh yeah, I love H2O as well.
So
but
good.
I feel like by now, yes, we know Sidney is so strong, but like shit keeps happening that I do feel like, I wouldn't be surprised if she had like a little bit of a
show us flashback
or something where she's like, I've had a tough. I mean, her little niece that she probably babysat just tried to kill her 10 years ago
and murder her.
I'm just surprised. Exactly, like. Literally, and also, I have to say, I know this was a deleted scene in 4, but I'm still shocked. There is no mention of Sidney's dad. I assume he died, but in the movies, in 4 and 5, no one has ever mentioned Sidney's dad. He's in 3. Yeah, he's in it, but then I guess he just died, and we're not going to talk about it. Apparently in 4, they did shoot a scene where they were like, yeah, sorry your dad died of cancer, but they cut it.
Really?
But like, come on, guys. Like, so she has no family left. Everyone is dead.
I say, all right, right now.
That's why I'm surprised she even has kids, honestly. I don't know if Sidney Prescott... I just don't know.
She's probably very damaged in a way that would make it hard for her to have kids. But the fact that she does, like, I was shocked to see that she was a mom. But I was like, also like, all right, you know what? She's been through so much. Like, we care about this fictional person. Like, I want her to have like a normal family life if that's what she wants. Like, I'm happy for her. Like, cool. Like, that works. But bringing her back to Stu's house and then give her a fucking heavy dose of flashbacks to the first movie, like the way they did with The Matrix 4, like just flash us back to the original fucking movie and then have Sidney go fucking Rambo.
Actually, that'd be cool. Yeah.
That would have been fucking cool. Kevin also, says, sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, and also I feel like this movie, like we heard about Billy, of course, we heard about Stu, we saw Jamie Kennedy's funny face on that big shrine. Where is the love for Tatum? My friend Tom said, I guess I totally missed it. Tatum's ashes were in an urn. I completely missed that.
It was a box that says Tatum, but inside the box was like Dewey's gun.
Oh, that was I totally missed it saying Tatum. But like, come on, Tatum was Sidney's actually true best girlfriend. Like, nothing. I know she had Hallie in college, but a college friend for a year or two is different than your, like, I assume Sidney and Tatum grew up together. Like, we can't even get a picture of her anywhere, or I just feel like Tatum does not get as much respect in these sequels as she deserves, you know? But maybe that's just me. Anyway.
Kevin says here, and how could they have Billy returning and no Lillard? They really should have had Lillard come back. And Lillard plausibly could have survived that TV. It was a rumor. I didn't stay to see if there was an extra scene. There was no extra scene. It would have been great to have him. Originally he was supposed to be calling shots from prison. That would have been great.
And that's what they ended up doing with the Scream TV show. Or no, or maybe they didn't. There was a prison scene, but
there was. Well, that was with the killer who wasn't the killer, but actually was the killer.
Right. Yeah.
Again, I think Scream works really well as a 10-episode single season miniseries. Give us 10 episodes. Somebody dies. Check this out. Somebody dies every episode.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, so you have 10 friends or 10 people die. There has to be a murder that happens at the end of every episode and sort of like do this big build up to the party. And then basically what they did with From Dusk Till Dawn, remake Scream, but as a 10-episode miniseries, like all the characters, all the backstory, put it all together in a thing.
And that's so funny you say that, because in my film, and what I thought was the next iteration of the Stab movies, is what happens nowadays is all these big movies are turning into TV shows, and it's a nod to the Scream TV show. So in my story, they are making a Stab TV series, and the executive producer lays out what's happening because that is the next iteration of these movies.
Guys, watch Mark's movie. First of all, watch Mark's movie #1. If you're a fan of Scream, Mark made a wonderful fan film that really shows his love for the series. I did, and I want to know, how did you get the Ghostface voice? How did you do that?
TikTok. If you just download, they did it as promotion for this movie, and they said as long as it's for personal use, which I'm not making any money on the short, it's all nonprofit.
So you were able to use.
What I did was I just typed in on TikTok. I just like filmed the wall, and I typed in the
AI.
It's an AI thing. So that's Roger L. Jackson's voice. And for a second there,
I had Roger L. Jackson in your movie.
I technically did.
Yeah.
I didn't like credit him or put him on IMDb because I don't want him knowing, because I don't want to get sued. But technically, yeah. I mean,
dude, that's
but
amazing.
I was very much willing to try to find an actor to do it. And the actor that does the Ghostface voice or the killer voice on the Scream TV show did reach out to me on Actors Access saying, hey, I'll do it, but you need to pay me way more, because I was only paying like $50 for voiceover.
Yeah.
and I'm like, no, sorry, no.
Yeah.
Thank you, but no. But I thought that was fun. But yeah, TikTok. I just used the promotion for this film.
Very, very ingenuitive and
Thank you.
Awesome. I think that's really great. Kevin 45 says, I like the idea of making Scream a new nightmare situation. I saw that online as well with all the history of Courtney and David. That would be very, very interesting. And then you could bring everybody back.
And that I would call Scream. That to me is then maybe just Scream and no other number or something. That could be fun. Or, like, because this to me very much, I know it was a requel or whatever. This was Scream 5. Like right.
And they're like, hey, by the way, we just want to show you that we're super aware of what a requel is, and we're going to explain it for you on the TV, and like trying to mimic the film school conversation of Mickey and Randy in part 2 that is just so fucking like excellent. And
oh my God,
this one just, again, it's fun, but it feels more like a college humor or like an SNL digital short than it does the
there's just a little bit of coldness in these groups of friends
now. We call it 5 Cream.
5 Cream, yes. This was Scream. Yeah, exactly. This was Scream 5. But you know what I mean? Like, by that time when they're all on the couch with Dewey and then Mindy, who I love. I think Mindy is awesome. I'm so happy she survived. But like,
she's in Yellow Jackets.
She is, yeah. I just watched the finale of Yellow Jackets. What a strange...
dude, all right, I have not seen the finale yet. But I didn't know you were watching Yellow Jackets.
Oh, yeah, we binged it the last couple of weeks. What an addictive, sloppy show.
Well, that's a whole other conversation, but I just want to say... I have to say one quick thing, super quick. I just want to say about Yellow Jackets. I was talking with my friend about this. We're going to be talking... My friend and I are going to be doing a show about this on Tuesday.
Oh, good.
I was shocked that, like, that the story seems to be moving like molasses, and yet at the end of every week I'm like, wait a minute, a whole hour passed, and like I feel like we should be I feel like like so much more shit should have happened and nothing's happened. Like it's kind of frustrating a little bit, but I like
apparently those creators want like 4 more seasons. They envision it as a 5.
Oh, you see, you can tell. Well, we're only 4 months into the whatchamacallit, so you could tell that that's what's up. So all right. I can't wait to see that.
Totally. Yeah, you'll have to tell me what you think. But yeah, I just feel like by the time Mindy is telling us the rules of a requel and telling us all that, that's funny and everything. But they're, or even earlier when they're on the picnic tables that you were talking about, like there's just this coldness where I missed in 1 and 2.
You didn't feel the chemistry.
And even in 3, when the actors of Stab 3 are talking and like there's a little bit of nervousness. In 4 and 5, there is not 1 ounce of nervousness, not 1 ounce of... Well, actually in 5, Wes is worried, which I liked. And Amber, yeah, we know. But like Mindy is just so cold and like, oh, really? Yeah, well, you're the killer.
I actually thought, I liked all of the... See, that's why I was like annoyed. It worked for me. I was like, get rid of the OG3. Have Dewey there. Like Dewey could show up in the 3rd act, like ready to like be like a what's it called do ex machina or whatever. Like have him just come down, have him. He has that earlier trick. Here's what would have been great with Dewey. First of all, don't kill him. Second of all, have the scene earlier. I like have a scene with him earlier where they like kind of establish where he's at, and then have him show up at the end to sort of save the day with Sidney or something. Like
so then and Sidney and Gale now in this version where he comes in at the end, has Gale already died or is he now joining?
I think Gale
never even left. She was in New York and just
no. Oh, okay. So if we're talking about if I had my druthers.
Yes.
I had my druthers. Okay. Dewey, they have that scene with Dewey in the opening, right? Then all the shit keeps happening. We're just sort of rearranging things here a little bit. Yeah. This is with the OG 3 characters. We're rearranging things. We see him watching Gale on the news in the thing. So that sets us up that they've not only separated, but she's off in New York and he's in this trailer. Fine. We'll leave that alone. I'm not even going to touch that. Fine. All that stuff happened. But we established that the kids come knocking and he's like, I want nothing to do with this. I'm like, I'm done. That sort of thing. Then Gale comes to Woodsboro because kids are dying. Mm-hmm. Gale dies. Maybe Gale dies in the hospital. Gale goes to investigate with her recorder, and she's interviewing Tara. She gets attacked by Ghostface. She gets killed. Mm. Dewey finds out. So that sets up Dewey. And then Dewey calls Sidney.
Yes, and says, I need you.
I need you. Gale has died, and I need you, please. And Sidney goes, Dewey, we've talked about this before. I can't ever step foot in Woodsboro. She's like, come on, Sid. Gale is dead. Like, I know you guys had your problems, but like, I'm hurting here. Right. And, like, I was there for you. I was there for you. I need you to be there for me. Then Sidney gets off the phone and is thinking about it. Fucking Patrick Dempsey comes in the room and he's like, you can't do, I heard that conversation. You can't go. She's like, I have to go. And they have that whole thing. We just talked about this big dramatic thing. We see the kids. And then finally Patrick Dempsey's like, she's like, Patrick Dempsey goes, I want you, I'm going to come with you then. She's like, who's going to stay here and guard our kids? And he's like, you're right. He's like, wait, Sidney, here, take this. Gives him the box with the guns, right? Uh-huh. Just a box. We don't know what's in it. It's just a box. Uh-huh. Just like, here, take this. And so give us a little reveal later on. Then Sidney, I don't know. Sidney shows up. Sidney has the interaction with Sam and learns the truth about who Sam is, or there's some sort of catharsis.
And Dewey has already talked with Sam, so now there's a little bit more glue there.
Right. Okay, fine. There was a reunion between Dewey and Sidney, and that's where Dewey tells Sidney the truth about Sam.
Yeah.
Right? And then that brings us to the end of the movie where we get the big reveal of Stu's house. And we don't see Dewey. We only see Sidney in the house. Sidney's having her flashbacks. She melts down and sort of becomes not useless, but she's like, she can't like do any, she can't do anything. The killers have their moment in the kitchen, and then let's change the killers' motivations. Why are they doing it? I don't know. It's different. And then here's the thing. We needed to see more relationship between Tara and Amber, and then I wanted to see Tara feel betrayed by Amber. Like, you were using me because my sister is my sister is Billy's whatever, something like that, or ever since I found out that, or maybe it's Amber. Maybe, how about this? How about Amber is in Tara's house? Amber finds the diaries. Amber starts all this shit up. She then reveals somehow, she's pulling the strings maybe. She reveals to Sam her lineage or something. I don't know. In any case, then Dewey comes in at the end and sort of saves the day. Or you could do it the reverse. Have Dewey be the one that's been incapacitated and Sid comes in and said, I don't care. But and then all the while, Sam is dealing with Billy's voice in her head. And then how about this for you? She doesn't see, maybe she sees photos of like crime photos of her father on the computer. And then that's what allows her to actually visually see him in a mirror at the end in the house. One shot behind her as she's about to kill one of the killers and go and like unleashes the killer inside. And then we're left with this cliffhanger of Sam discovers that she's a killer and keeps that fact hidden from herself, from everybody, including Tara. And then that sets us up for a sequel where she's fighting these urges and basically kind of turns Ghostface into like this again. Why vigilante? Because it's opposite of what we've seen. Like,
it's something
vigilante is not positive per se. It's just something that it's
the next chapter. Because I think no matter what, Scream 6, we we got to ease up on the nostalgia. I think we got to do the Scream 2 route. And literally, Sidney even says to Sam, which is something you and I were talking about in the last episode we talked about, the tagline really shouldn't be "It's always someone you know," because technically Sid and Gale and even Dewey don't know any of these people, right?
Right.
Even Sam doesn't really know a lot of these people. I guess she knows Richie, of course. But so I always thought the tagline should have been "It's always someone new," meaning anyone can be Ghostface. Anyone can have a crazy motive to come after you or your friends. So when Sidney tells Sam, you can run, but it will follow you, because she knows it followed her to college, to Hollywood, back here now twice. So the next one, it must follow them elsewhere. I don't want to be in her head.
In her head with Billy, it's like so that there's
it will follow her. She's now going to live somewhere where then and if it can, I think it should totally. The only nostalgia I think it should have is maybe it could be near a college where then we're kind of going back to Scream 2 a little bit, but then we have Tara and the twins maybe at the same college or whatever, and Sam lives nearby, and now wherever that is, there's a copycat. It has followed them to a different area. I don't want to be in Woodsboro again. One thing that I've liked about the first few Scream films is it was not Halloween. It was not Crystal Lake. It was not Springwood for Freddy Krueger movies. Scream was great because it truly followed Sidney into different phases of her life in different places. So now that we just keep going back to Woodsboro, it's starting to just sort of feel like a typical slasher franchise in the same town that just has bad luck. Build the world. In my opinion, Scream 6, Gale should have, because this was sort of like unprecedented how many survivors we have and how many women survived this movie. You have Gale, Sidney, Sarah, Sam, Tara, and Mindy, and then Chad, who should have totally just died, but whatever. But you have 5 women, plus now I guess Kirby. Hello. What a great segment for Gale's morning talk show. Let's have the Woodsboro survivors come to New York. Hello, Ghostface.
I love it.
Manhattan. I'm doing a special segment with women that have survived. You know, maybe Sidney calls in from whatever, or maybe Sidney's not even in it, whatever. But now Ghostface knows that Gale is having this reunion of different final girls, because remember, Sidney was always the final girl, even though Gale has also survived. Now, who's the final girl in this new one? You have, I guess, is it Sam? Is it Tara? Is it Mindy? Now there's Kirby.
But here's
you
the
have
thing.
A whole
group.
You have the Spice Girls of final girls. You know what I mean?
The Spice final girls.
Yeah.
But Mark, here's my one problem. Not with your thing. I think that I love that idea. That's a fantastic idea. And I love how we both like sort of, well, mine wasn't really developed. Mine was sort of like a remake of Scream 5. Yours was an actual different idea in Scream 6. But my one issue though is like how the part of the problem with Ghostface is that anybody could be Ghostface, and it's just kind of like it just gets tired after a while seeing different people put on, always donning this moniker of the Ghostface. It does become Scooby-Doo, like, oh, I'm going to use this mask to, like, it just sort of, I don't know. Like, this is the one thing, like, I don't know, apart from using Sam and her psychosis, I don't know how they could plausibly continue on with the Ghostface moniker in a meaningful way.
Okay.
You know, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe there's things I'm not considering.
I'm okay with that because I'm just surprised actually because we know in the real world, in our real world, there are different kinds of Ghostface masks. There's like a scarecrow, there's a shiny mask.
Yeah,
they even showed it in the Stab 8 clip, a more shiny mask. I'm actually surprised we haven't. I know, Substar. I'm surprised we haven't seen a new movie where like there's a couple different Ghostface masks. You know, like why not?
You could go out
into that, and that could be a little interesting. Maybe, I don't know.
You definitely could, or you could even go the Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers supernatural route and just make him supernatural, and then
please no, because I hated that twist in Halloween Kills. Sorry if I'm spoiling, but that at the end of Halloween Kills,
I agree,
it was literally like, okay, so we retconned just to exactly do what previous sequels did in the past. But someone did ask a question here, and I'd love to talk about it, Jeff, because I kind of can't remember either.
What was the question?
Val says, how did the killers know Sam's lineage to Billy? Do you remember how they knew?
I don't think
I remember Amber says, well, it's a small town, and Amber was like overacting. I always thought in
she
Urban
was
Legend,
so over the top.
Rebecca Gayheart in Urban Legend was just acting for the gods in such an over the top way. But I think Amber has her beat. She is just like a bobblehead, and she says, "Well, it's a small town." But I'm like,
I have no idea how either one of
yeah,
them knew. It made no
can't
sense.
remember.
But there were ways for them to find out, and they didn't go explore any of that. And I just want to touch on, Kevin says, maybe this is too soon an idea to imagine they're making a Scream 5 and the first scene is a real killer caught in film, a la Brandon Lee. That would, okay. I didn't see what you were saying there. Yeah. In keeping with the new Nightmare idea. He says, and sorry, I'm getting crazy now. The motive has something to do with the real murders that inspired the OG Scream. I think we get carried away on this show. Like, we've already gotten carried away on the show. I don't think there's any, I don't think you could go over the top. He says, I know you, Ballad says, I know y'all did not like this film. It's not that, again, Ballad, it's not that we don't, it's not that I hate it or dislike it.
Some of it definitely works. And I was on board. And
it's just a mixed bag, you know. It's not. I listen. At the end of the day, I was super let down by Scream 4, and as I've said, I think they should have stopped after Scream 3. Or I'm happy with Scream 3 being the ending. So even though I'll always welcome more Screams because I enjoy it, especially with the new blood that they have in it. At the end of the day, whatever they were going to do, they were already losing a battle with me, like from the beginning. So it was like, I tried to keep the best open mind. I had a good time. They did some interesting stuff, but there was you know, I don't know. But
I want to tell you, Jeff, apparently, I haven't listened to it yet. It's only a 25-minute episode, but there's a podcast called Horror Queers. Yeah. And they just had Kevin Williamson on, and I'm
downloading it right now.
They asked him,
Horror Queers?
Horror Queers, yeah.
Okay,
two, I think, gay hosts that talk all about horror. And they just had Kevin Williamson on, and again, I haven't listened to it, so I hope I'm not like promoting something I don't even know about. But they ask him all the burning questions of what his new trilogy would have been if 4 was more successful. So I guess he does divulge what 5 and 6 would have been. He divulges why 3 changed from 2 killers to 1. He talks about the script leaks for Scream 2. So he basically talks a lot about what the original plans were for these films. So I'm sure it's interesting because Kevin Williamson, as we know, he's been a guest on multiple podcasts and has given little kernels of info, but this just seems like pretty juicy.
I just downloaded it, guys. That's Horror Queers. It's the top episode. I just downloaded it myself. I'll be listening to it tomorrow to check that out.
Because that could be really interesting. Because I am curious what he would have done, because now it's in different writers' hands. So, you know,
Ballad, the rest of Ballad's question here real quick. He says, and we got to wrap this up because we're hitting 2 hours, and I want to thank Mark so much for doing this. This was a great episode, and I love talking about this stuff. It was really fun.
And I'm sorry that I'm like bringing us all over, but
you're an excellent guest. You are an excellent guest. You know how to talk. You're a podcaster yourself, so you know how to go about it. It's great. He says, do we think that Scream is one of, if not the most consistent slasher franchises? At least I would say for the first 3, I guess all 5 do have somewhat of a consistency. The first 3 for sure do. Again, I think the first 3 is a great Final Girl trilogy. It's perfect. Like, to me, I love happy with it.
I think it's like I was saying earlier, like, no matter what, I feel a rush with any Scream film, and it is sad when it's over. So yeah, it's always at least hitting a bar, like reaching a certain bar for me that I'm into it, and I'm, you know, like I know these films might not be scary, but like, I was jumping a lot during this movie, even if actually Ghostface just sort of appeared a lot. There wasn't a lot of big, massive Ghostface reveals. I was jumping. Like, I'm sitting there like, whoa, you know? So it works for me, and it is consistent. I think we just have to be careful because these movies kind of were careful from the start. So, you know, you kind of, if the motive is to remake Stab 8, or if the motive in this one is because the last movie sucked for fans, and they want to do new killings to create a new movie. Like,
what a weird motive, man. Like,
it's just a little weird. And I know they want to pay homage to the fans. Like, that's a big fan thing,
Yes.
but it still feels weak to me. And also it feels weak because then why did we go through all the work of having people related to the original killers if actually the original killers don't really have anything to do with this? It almost seems like they didn't even care if Sidney came back to town.
And why on earth do they friggin' if they want to do something new and fresh and original, why are they trying to connect to the original killers? Like what?
Right,
like,
exactly. And also why aren't they recording this? Just release it yourself. Hello, independent filmmakers, just put it on Facebook, put it on your website, and now you like, hey everybody. And that would be really interesting actually if Richie and Amber are actually huge fans with huge nerdy horror film followings or something, and it's like, guys, we're gonna make our own stab fan film and we are killing Sidney, Gale, Dewey, all these people. You know what I'm saying?
That would have made so much more sense.
Yeah,
that would have worked.
Let's push it a little more where they are diehard fans and they are obsessed. And that's cool. That's interesting to me. But instead they're fans and they just kind of want to do this so that someone else makes the movie that they're not going to get credit for.
They're hoping that they're going to make a movie. Real quick, Amber Ballard says, Amber said it's a small town and your mother is a loudmouth drunk. I forgot about that part. Yeah, I also want to very quickly thank Ballard for his support on the channel. Much appreciated, Ballard. I really do appreciate it. He says, I'll check that out. Thanks, Mark. And I can totally see where you both are coming from, even though I disagree. You're both passionate and deeply knowledgeable, so it makes for solid concepts. Listen, I'll be honest with you, Ballard. I'm glad. First of all, I'm really happy that you like it, because if you like it, Ballard is younger than us, and like, I'm glad that maybe like people of his generation, age, ilk, whatever you want to call it, are like down with this, because again, I still want more. I'm down. Like, I don't really care. Again, I'm happy. 1, 2, 3. I'm not one of these people that are like, oh, they like ruined my childhood. But no. Do whatever you want. Like, I keep them comping. I don't care. Like,
take me on a journey. I'm cool with it. Like I said on someone else's podcast, I'm okay with Scream being the new Before Sunrise movies. I want to see Sidney and Gale every like 8 years. And what's going to happen? I just want to make sure. I just don't want to see high schoolers for a little bit. They should have streamed.
It just, and what a missed opportunity.
I was going to say one last thing. I do wish there was a chase. There wasn't really a chase scene. And I know Chad kind of had that pretty cool, like, Ghostface stormed out of the shed. Although, why did Ghostface go in the shed? But at least we saw a little bit of a chase outside and the phone tracker. But I really wish he and Liv actually were having sex outside, which is sort of like an homage to Friday the 13th, trashy sex horror. And then maybe they get mad at each other, and then she goes, and I just kind of wanted, like, I could just see her with her cool dyed hair running throughout the woods around Stu's house. I just wish we had a chase. That's all.
That was, I will say, there was a lot of little like cutesy like back and forth with like, oh, maybe you're the killer, and like they're going around like back and forth, which is like, again, like, I know you weren't a big fan of that because you thought it was a little cold and callous. I thought it was kind of playful. And I was okay with that,
I was okay with it to an extent. Then it just kind of kept going. And I'm like, but I'm not feeling like you guys are actually like real and worried for your lives.
How about Henry Winkler's statue in loving memory of our principal that was gutted? Like, no Henry Winkler.
Oh yeah, because there was the bust, the statue in 4, but yeah, there was nothing in this one.
There was? Right? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, in 4.
Oh, so they did it. So they did it.
They did it in the last movie in the busy hallway, where they're trying to like introduce Trevor, who was like sort of the new Billy. There is a bust, but it wasn't like a very clear shot. It was sort of odd. But did you notice? Speaking of Henry Winkler, I don't know if anyone sat through the credits. I love to sit through the credits of these movies because I love how they do the actor credits.
Of course.
But at the end, long list of special thanks to Henry Winkler, Drew Barrymore, Matthew Lillard, a whole bunch of original actors. So I wonder what that was about. I assume Drew, maybe because she's done so much promotion for this film on her show, but like Henry Winkler, it just was interesting. I'd love to Google what was their contribution,
I honestly just think that, like, there were, it's going to be frustrating to revisit and rewatch this because I'm going to keep thinking about my, armchair screenwriter. Like, I know what's best. Like,
I could have done it differently.
I could do it
but no,
better.
Actually, I'm glad you're bringing that up, Jeff, because unlike Scream 4, when Scream 4 ended, and I saw that at midnight first showing, when it ended, I was like, I'm bummed. This, I didn't leave bummed, and I actually want to. I'm excited to watch it again. I definitely want to watch it again and learn new things.
I did not leave. Yeah. I did not leave bummed, and I did. I like I said, I was entertained all the way through, and every time that Jenna Ortega was in danger, I was like a giddy schoolgirl going, "Oh, Jenna Ortega!" Like, and I was like, I was definitely. I was Agreed. So like on the edge of my seat because I didn't want her anything bad to happen to her. When she made it to the end, I was just it was just
that was a nice treat.
Yeah, and listen, it's very possible that she might be the new Sidney herself because
I think so.
She survived, and people across the board on the internet, everybody is stoked about Jenna, like stoked about her. Yeah, and I would be surprised to see they might pivot towards her. She's going to be Wednesday Addams in the new.
She's about to really blow up.
She's about to really blow up. She was on You. She was also in the Babysitter Part 2, and she's also
she's in a Jennifer Garner movie.
Ty West. Ty West.
Ty West
X movie.
Yes, that looks fun.
Yeah,
totally.
I'm very excited for that one.
But I would love. I think a great next sequel. Gather all the girls and give Sam this weird is she gonna snap and then kill her halfway through.
Or what about this? Right? What about this? Let's play off your idea for a minute. They all go to New York for Gale's thing
for an interview,
and Sam is slowly knocking them all off one by one. She's the killer. She's knocking them off because Billy is in her head saying, "Get Gale because Gale killed me," and because she reads all about the case and she learns that Gale was there that night, and then that's what amps up her psychosis, and then that translates into Billy saying she killed me, because we all know that Sidney really killed her, but like in her mind she's projecting it onto Gale. And then
without Gale, I think Billy might have actually killed Sidney, because remember, he was on top of her, he has the knife, she poked his wound, which is so gross, but Gale was the one that surprised us.
You're right. Safety was
off, and then she remembered at that time, asshole, right? So that's why, and I'm sorry, I know we want to go, but one last thing, I did feel like there were too many cooks in the kitchen, and they brought Gale in too early when the killers were like, bring in Gale. Gale should have surprised us, much like she did in the first one, where in the kitchen it's just the two killers and Sam and Sidney, and things are getting tense, and then Sid could have even slid the gun over. Oh my God. And I'm just imagining a beautiful shot of Sid on the floor. She's bleeding. She just slides the gun and we're like, what's she doing? And then the camera can follow it. Gale grabs it and can say a line or whatever, just like she did in the previous film of right here, asshole, or whatever. Shoot the girl. You know what I'm saying? Like Gale came in too soon. It's weird that she was shot so quickly as soon as she gets to the house. But then keep her there for a bit. Let us worry about her. Sidney's on her own, and then just when we need her, Gale's back. And
I will say this: when what's her face blows away the other girl with the gun, she's like, "You're not the killer. I'm the killer." Like that was pretty good. Yeah, I was kind of annoyed that she had a revolver. But like, I did think it was kind of like, whoa, just like kind of blew her away. Like that was kind of cool.
I think that would have been maybe cooler if instead of the gun, which I know that was a big blunt surprise. What if she just stabbed her? Like, what if she just, like something really animalistic,
more animalistic, yes. And of course we get the Mindy scene, which is like, it's like so meta that it's melting my face, dude.
But you know what? I loved it.
The movie. That's watching the movie. The
only thing I wish someone maybe a little bit more famous played Randy. I know they probably got someone we don't recognize because it's supposed to actually be from 1997 or whatever. But like, how fun would it be if it was someone, someone we recognize?
Seth Green.
Oh my God, Jeff, that would have been beautiful. But I know but see, that's when I'm like, I don't care if the de-aging is bad, whatever. It's a horror movie, but I did love that.
It's VHS.
I love that. in the first film, we had Jamie Kennedy watching Jamie Lee Curtis, and I love that in this film, instead of watching other scary movies and talking about other scary movies, all the trivia and all the watching is of the Stab movies. I thought that was very clever.
And then on top of it all, the actress who saw the premiere was watching herself watching Randy. It goes meta one more time.
Oh, totally.
She's in the theater watching the premiere of the movie. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ballad says here, recent slasher requel trend is okay. I'm really just hoping that they wrap Halloween ends up properly and tie up loose ends. We'll see what happens. JJ Courtney is my second favorite. Michael, they just need to work on the story. I saw a really great meme of Anthony Michael Hall around Thanksgiving, where instead of saying evil dies tonight, it was like gonna eat pie tonight, or no. No, it was apple pies tonight, and I laughed so hard. I thought that was such a good. It was kind of a good meme. Kevin says,
"Sorry, just say I'm so happy Scream 5 did not have any evil dies tonight chant times 50. I'm glad there was no. I think we only even got like, do you like scary movies once in the first Scream? You hear it at least like 5 times. So I'm just happy this was not very repetitive with any dialogue, because that Halloween Kills was."
Kevin does reflect what I think a lot of our sort of generation that grew up with the original Scream in the 90s. He left kind of bummed. These teenagers next to me were saying it just wasn't that fun to watch, and I kind of agree with them on that statement. So I guess,
some younger people in the theater in front of, like, way in the front said that sucked. And in my opinion, it definitely did not suck. So yeah, maybe some younger people maybe don't like it. I don't know. I was okay with it overall, but I definitely need to rewatch it. And I'm actually looking forward to a rewatch. Unlike Scream 4, I was like, I'm good not watching that for a while. You know what I mean?
Okay. So. I'm going to say this in the most, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a total creepball, being 36, finding a 19-year-old girl to be beautiful, but she is. I absolutely think I swoon over Jenna Ortega, and I just think she's awesome. And like completely rooting for her and her career, and just think she's breathtaking, and she's a good actress, and all of the above. Evil dies tonight, or the boogeyman's here. Yes. All right, I'm cutting off the comments now, because this will just go on. We have to very quickly talk about our sponsor, riotstickers.com, guys. We're running a special promotion here for anybody who watches this broadcast in the future. We're powered by Riot Stickers. We have a nice deal for any band, any creative project right down below. It's normally $59, but for $29.50, you can get 50 3-inch by 3-inch stickers. That is a lot of real estate. That's 9 square inches of real estate to put your image. Riotstickers.com. I've done business with Riot Stickers in the past. A lot of my musician friends have done business with Riot Stickers in the past. If you use FRUMESS, FRUMESS, the promo code with the link in the description, you will get that 50% off deal, $29.50. Let's play the 60-second video really, really quickly. It's right here.
We make stickers, banners, and buttons too. Posters and promo cards. There's nothing we can't print for you. From stage backdrops to bass drum heads. We can print on shirts. We can print on hats. We can print on pants. Cheap prices and high quality. Quick turnaround times and free shipping. We also offer free artwork support. Great customer service and so much more. Riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. Riotstickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb.
All right. I want to thank
that was a great jam.
I agree. That was the guy from Less Than Jake, another connection to Scream, because they do the cover of I Think I Love You, Scream 2 soundtrack, one of the best.
And last thought of the night, Jeff, I just realized this is the first Scream film that didn't have much of like a soundtrack. I feel like I didn't hear too many songs, right?
No, except for Red Right Hand, which I was really had. Yes,
and then there were like a couple but like, you know, not much of a soundtrack, which not a big deal, but I just know Scream 1 and 2, those soundtracks were like,
I have to say, you blew my mind, guys. There is a connection from Scream between Scream and Michael Jackson in the fact that they renamed and Mark told me about this. I didn't know this. They renamed the movie Scary Movie to Scream because of the Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson song called Scream. And then Jerry Only wrote, and Michael Graves wrote a song called Scream because they were chasing that. They were trying to chase the trend, or they were trying to get their song in any movie. They did Mars Attacks. They did Forbidden Zone. They were always trying to get a movie on a soundtrack. And Scream was supposed to be for Scream 2. They were hoping to get Scream on Scream 2, and they were not able to. So they ended up doing a music video with George Romero, Human Pony Girl acapella. Giddy up! I just did an acapella track for Misfits acapella track on my channel, and Human Pony Girl is one of the most unpop songs. Like there is no. It's like so anti-music. It's anti-music. So the idea of doing an acapella to it is like just painful. Listen, guys, Mark has his own podcast. I've been on it several times. You can watch the Hook episode on his. He has a link tree. It's Linktree for release date rewind.
There you go.
Down in the description. Check out his Scream fan film. That's also in the description. Make sure you subscribe. I will definitely have Mark back on this channel in the future because he's so great at talking. We'll find something that we groove on, and we'll have him back on to chew the fat another time. So I want to thank Mark again so much.
Thank you, Jeff, so much. You are like the best, and you are definitely, of course, coming back on my show. And one of these days, we are working together on a film. That was a whole goal a while ago.
It will definitely happen. And I just want to let you know, I am a very busy man, but if you ever need like post-production stuff on a short, like I was watching your Scream short, and I totally could have mixed that for you, dude. And if you ever need something like that in the future,
my sound guy mixed it, and it's a little tricky, but totally, Jeff.
I'm just saying, if you need any mixing stuff,
I know you use DaVinci, so this was my first time.
I use Audition, but for sure, dude, for sure. No, it's really great. Check out his Screen fan film. Definitely subscribe to the channel. It's in the description down below. I'm gonna actually boot Mark out. Normally I leave, we hang back, but it's so late, and I want to let him go. And let him unwind and decompress. I'm going to play out with my Patreon thing. Mark, peace and hair grease.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Thanks, everybody. This was like such an awesome conversation with Ghostface as well. Thank you, Jeff, for real. This was awesome.
All right. Bye, Mark. All right.
Bye.
Booting him off. Woo! That was so great. Love having Mark on this channel. Definitely got to do it in the future. This is our first time having Mark on the channel, but I'm sure he'll be back. I just want to say I love Carpetbagger says, I don't know. The name is, I think it's MOP. It's MJPOV. It's if you look in the description, click on the video, and that will be the channel. It's there. It's in the description. What was I saying? I don't know. I'm beat, and I got to go to sleep. We'll be back tomorrow, I think, with another show. Once again, I'm going to say peace, and check this out. Hair grease. Shout out to Irina, who was on my last show and showed me that I've been doing the peace and hair grease thing wrong this entire time, you guys. It's peace and hair grease. That's how you do it. We've been going like this. Why? Why would we do that? It makes no sense. It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jeff. So I've decided to make a Patreon. What is Patreon? I don't know how to define a Patreon. Let me look it up. Patreon is a membership platform that makes it very easy for creators to get paid for the things that they're already creating. I want to do it full time. I want this to be my full-time job. In my efforts to make that happen, I've set up this platform. Is it going to work? Is it going to be successful? I don't know, but I would rather try and crash and burn than not try at all. The goal is to create enough passive revenue so that I can continue to do this full-time, uninterrupted. Why? Because I love to do this. I love creating content. I love making videos. I love shooting films. I love doing podcasts. In case you couldn't tell, I love to talk, and I never shut the fuck up. So right now, I've kept the Patreon incredibly simple. There's 2 tiers, and that may change in the future. The Murdergram is a simple way to extend support for all of the hours and hours of free content on the channel for nothing more than $1. 38 cents goes to Patreon. What's $1.38, eh? It's less than a cup of coffee, but it's a great way that you can show support for very little effort. When you divide that $1.38 by the hours and hours and hours of time spent listening to this endless drivel of content, the dollar cost average works out. Next up is the YouTube Casualty for $6.66. The YouTube Casualty is loaded to the gills. Enjoy the archive ad-free, as well as ad-free early access to special docu-style podcast videos, music reaction commentaries, and the like, a month before they drop on YouTube, loaded with ads, I might add. You're also going to get exclusive content and behind-the-scenes content that is not available on YouTube or anywhere else. So you get to peek behind the veil. And believe me, there's a couple of choice pieces. Most of all, more than anything, whether you join the Patreon or not, I just want to thank each and every one of you that comes to the channel, that watches all the shows, that leaves comments, that participates, that subscribes. That's really the most important thing. This is just trying to find a way to earn a living as an artist. And with that, thank you for my TED Talk. Join the Patreon, because we need you!
66 cents.